How we doing, everybody? America, we are back, baby. I got my buddy Matt on. I've had him on a few times before. We're gonna talk. We're gonna debate. We're gonna just shoot the shit a little bit today. You guys have met him before, but this is Matthew Finnymore, Orlando's finest. He debated me on Jubilee. If you got anything to say before we go into stuff, feel free.
Dude. Well, I'm glad to be back. Ignore my cat. She's eating and drinking water. This is her like food place. And then I moved because I think I talked about it before. Her bathroom is over here now in this corner. I'm keeping it as far away as possible.
I got my dog literally sleeping right at my
Hell
side,
yeah,
too,
dude.
so I get it.
Yeah. And we finally finished the wall, and we already talked about it offline, but we finally finished the wall up, which is awesome. I think we want to do some like painting on the walls too, like maybe like change up the coloring a little bit, make it kind of match it. I don't know. We're still figuring.
I like how the panels look a lot.
Right?
Last time when we were filming the we did the reaction thing, but it got copyrighted literally within 2 hours. It's one of the most insane things. The Jubilee video.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So, but that was the last time I saw the panels. Huge upgrade from there to now.
Yeah, 100%. And I love it. I love it. And my connection's not going back and forth, so ignore that. But no, it was awesome. I'm like I love how the setup looks, and I'm just ready to like add stuff to the wall now.
So what's been going on recently for you with politics? Like, have you been doing a lot of TikTok stuff, streaming stuff, or have you been just kind of doing like the gaming streams recently?
I've been just jumping into debates a lot, left, right, and center. Just been listening to a lot of people just talking about some stuff. Especially over the past like this month and last month, especially this month, it has just been nothing but just insane vitriol. I think the problem. I mean, we're gonna talk about it, but like, it's unfortunate what happened with Charlie. Rest in peace to Charlie. I'm sorry that his kids are not going to have his father. I'm unfortunately sad that Erica's not going to have her husband. But I mean, the biggest problem I had was just the immediate viper grip that people like Nancy Mace and even our president had. Was like, why are we jumping to conclusions when we don't even have, like, his body's not even cold yet. Like, he's not even in the ground yet. And like even like the FBI, they used to have no idea. They had no idea what was happening. They were still looking for the fucking dude. And so, like starting with that vitriol, I think was just it was not the right call, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of weird mixed reactions. There was a lot of people, like, first thing I took a day when I did it. I was going to do a stream that day, but I was like, I'm going to take a day. So I took a day. I don't even think I tweeted anything. I barely went on my phone or talked to anybody. But then after the first thing I did, like, similar to what Nick Fuentes did as well, was I just said, like, this is not the time for retaliations. This is not the time to, like, Andrew Tate was tweeting out civil war.
Right.
You had all these people tweeting stuff out like that. And it's like, I really understood the feeling. Like, I kind of felt it inside a little bit. I understood the feeling of, like, I've watched Charlie since I was 18 years old or so. So, like, the idea of, like, seeing him die in such a kind of really just brutal way, like, it was, not to get graphic, but, we all saw the video. To see that, like, it instantly gave you this feeling of, like, holy shit, we're under attack. But then that's, again, why I took the day. Because it was like, you got to present the right message, and the right message is never violence. There's such a spike in political violence, and what we need to do is we need to communicate more. We need to pray, we need to communicate more, we need to put down our weapons. And my phrase they said on my show was, put down your weapons, pick up your rosaries and Bibles.
That's good.
Find a way to, make some light of the terrible situation we're dealing with. So, yeah, I think it was a really tragic attack. And I mean, beyond that, just the FBI's incompetence, I think we'll definitely agree on that. Kash Patel seems to be one of the worst fucking heads at the FBI we've ever seen. He fucked up Epstein. He fucked up this Charlie Kirk investigation. We're probably not going to line on our views on the Obama stuff, but he fucked up the Obama stuff to me. He fucked up pretty much every major case he's handled.
I mean, even if he didn't fuck up on the Obama thing, like, would you still trust him even after Epstein and this and like, so he's already muddied the waters to the point where if you try to get a clean glass of water from the mud, you have no idea. You have no idea if it's legit or not. So Kash Patel completely ruining this whole investigation, starting it off in the way that he did, is atrocious. And when I got the message of what happened to Charlie, I was in Michigan with my family, and I immediately saw what my girlfriend sent me, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, give me like 2 minutes because I had to look this up, and it horrendous thing that happened. The Not only that, like the kids that were in fear for their lives too. Like you're in a college campus, you're out in the middle of in the open. Someone who's a
Yeah.
strong, political commentator gets shot and killed right in front of you. You think, oh my God, this guy's probably going to keep going. Like you have no idea what to do at that point. So I can only imagine what happened, what was going through the minds of those kids. Like I had a friend of mine who was in the Vegas shooting. She's still suffering from PTSD to this day from it. And
Yeah.
it's
That one I still think is a very weird thing.
crazy. Like
The
full
Vegas one is the weirdest one to me.
full amount of like what, duffel bags and luggage, just taking it up to the room.
32 guns, like
32
6,000 rounds of ammo or something. It was like 32 rifles, not even just
like
guns.
bump stocks and
And I mean, I'm a
everything.
gun owner. That's a lot to carry. I mean, that's an insane amount to carry. So it's like, I don't know. A lot of these things are super weird to me. And like, I know Dan Bilzerian, we probably don't have the same views on him, but I know he was there as well, and he has a crazy video that's still on YouTube to this day of the hotel. The floor that they said the shots were coming from, the shots were not coming from. It was coming from somewhere else, and you could see it in his
It's
video, but they never
Yeah,
investigated that.
like I will admit, like, because I haven't seen videos of that. I will not look at videos of that because I just keep picturing my friend's head in it, and it's just or my friend's
I
face
get
in it,
that.
and so I don't want to look at the video. But what I will say is that like it's the insanity that just comes with it, right? Like, why is this guy carrying 30 plus guns, 30,000 rounds, and like the violence that he wanted to enact, he was able to enact without question. What are we doing with these hotels? Like that's why at a place that I work at, I'm not going to disclose it to you or to the public, but but the job that I work at, like any person that comes in and just even you think for a microcosm that they're suspicious and you think that they're up to no good, like you immediately tell not only your leadership but you also tell the security team like, hey, watch this guy. This guy I don't feel
Yeah.
good about. Luckily, I haven't seen anything,
When
but
you see a
still,
guy carrying 32 duffel bags up to a room, that's where I just think the entire thing was either financed by some weird group or person, or I think it was some intel agency, maybe. It was definitely one of the biggest American trap. I think it's still
close.
to this day either the number one or number two shooting casualty wise in American
I
history.
think that one's number one, and then Pulse is number two. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say I
it's
know
that and
it's
Pulse.
between that and
Because
Pulse.
I think it was like
Yeah,
roughly
it's
50,
both
it was like
crazy.
roughly 50-60. It was like 50
Yeah,
60 people dead, and then like
I
hundreds
think it was like
injured.
58 or
It's a
something.
crazy
Yeah,
number.
hundreds
But
injured.
like it made me think of stuff like that. It made me think of what happened to Melissa Hortman. It made me think of what happened to like, important figures that, got shot and killed either through like because they were promoting peace or they were promoting, whatever the rhetoric was. But like for the FBI and for the president and even someone like Nancy Mace, someone in Congress, our own president, saying things like we are being attacked by the fascist left and immediately putting a political spin on it, it immediately villainizes people that one, we're not a part of it, and also two, that were not wanting this to happen. Like me personally, I did not want it to happen. I wanted to actually debate the guy.
Yeah,
I actually wanted to talk to him and be like, why do you think the way that you
you've
think?
told me that
Yeah,
too.
like because like
Yeah,
I've always believed this. Like the battles of ideas is through words and through writing and through videos, not through violence. Because if you start to make someone, if you kill him, for an example, Fox News will turn him into a martyr, which they did. They were immediately calling him a martyr the day of his death. And what's the fuck? I just watched the video. His name, Jesse Waters or whatever, was like, they want war with us. They don't want. Who wants war with the other side? I don't want war. Do
yeah.
you?
I think when they speak like that, they're they're speaking slightly too candidly. I understand their messaging a little
Hmm.
bit. Like I think the assumption that the shot came from the left is a slightly fair assumption, although I don't agree with like the wording of how they like when they're saying we're at war with the left in the ways they're saying it with no other context, it could come off very destructive.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons, like I said, I kind of like took a day after to try and figure out how I was going to present this, my wording, all that. Because it's a crazy delicate situation where all you need is one schizophrenic to hear the wrong thing on TV for him to go commit the next
There's a
act.
guy.
That's all you need for it to happen. It just takes one person saying one sentence on TV in the wrong context, and instantly, like that, someone's going to take that as, oh, we're now at war. I'm going to go do this. So I really agree that the war messaging was
Yeah,
terrible.
because it already
I
happened.
I
Somebody in Texas, you can pull this up. A guy in Texas allegedly, I'm not gonna say it's true or not, uh, but allegedly was writing up messages to his friend, seeing a pride parade and saying, "Fuck this, we're gonna go and kill these guys," and this is this is what they get for Charlie Kirk, and like they arrested him off of those messages, and it's like,
That's good they arrested him. Yeah,
right.
nobody should ever die for their
No
views. I
one,
mean,
no
that's
one should die because
it's one
of
of the craziest
no one should
things.
die because
And
of
you know
that.
me, like I'm a free speech absolutist. I believe people should be able to like there are consequences to your actions when it comes to your job and your family, things like that, friends, socially maybe. But I'm a believer that you should be able to say anything short of I want to kill this person, I'm going to kill this person, I'm going to do this atrocious act. Like as long as it's not a call for violence,
Yeah.
it's not I don't care what you say, but it's like I don't view it as anything too
Yeah, and
negative.
this is
Um,
why I'm always going to say this to you. I don't think that you're any sort of nationalist anything. You are a patriot through and through. I swear to God, you
well,
are,
I would say I'm a nationalist because I want America to be an independent state for sure, but
which I can
I want
under.
America to work very independently.
Yeah,
I just don't.
but but you would
I
agree that like a little bit of diplomacy still would help with the country, like working with
Yeah, I mean,
countries and
my
stuff. Yeah,
national stance isn't wanting to like force people into my
yeah.
views. It's more just like when I say like I'm a Christian or American nationalist, how I view it is it's more like I don't to start with the Christian part, it's like I don't want everyone to have to go to church. I don't want everyone to have to be super religious. All I want is that we have the framework of what kind of God intends and what our founders intended to be our laws. Like don't murder, don't steal, like don't do like the major things it says, like that should be the framework we kind of rely around. And if we got back to stricter punishments surrounding those like terrible things that it says are the worst, I think that's where my positions come from a little bit with that. I do think that we have a weird time in our country with religion as well. I mean, beyond just all the like the kind of so-called beef you have between like Christians, Jewish people, and Muslims within America right now. There's also a weird thing that's happening where our generation is the first generation in American history to be more religious than our parents for the first time ever. So there's more people our age going to church than people our parents' age, which is a really crazy thing to me. And it's in my opinion, really positive thing. You know, I think more people should like I said, I think more people should have religious affiliations. I don't think it's like a necessary requirement, but I think it's positive for the mind, and I think it's almost a form of meditation as well when you are praying to whatever God you are praying to.
Which I can understand, and that's a good thing that we can absolutely debate on. Like I don't have a concern with that whatsoever. But that's why I think that you are like when because I don't think nationalist would be the word that you use. That's why I keep saying like I think patriot is the perfect word for you because from when you see like what a nationalist does, it's pure isolation. Whereas like you want a more isolated like country, but you want something that you can still kind of like work with other countries, make some good deals, and you be able to kind of help out with it. But you still want to focus on us. But I guess to the point that I'm trying to make,
I'm definitely open to trade. I just
yeah.
don't want to. I'm someone who. This is gonna sound wild to you, I'm sure,
Mhm.
but I'm someone who I want to shut down obviously all illegal immigration. We found that out on Jubilee,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
shut down legal immigration as well. But I only want to accept immigrants from countries that move America forward currently. So the way I look at it is the job market's awful. We're not paid enough. A lot of companies, specifically tech companies, truck driving companies, would pay a lot more if they were paying American born citizens because American born citizens would demand more. And the influx in the foreign labor lowers the overall wage pool for everyone else because they realize, why would I pay an American 80K when I can pay an H-1B visa immigrant from, I don't know, like India per se. That's one of the, I think it's like 70% of H-1Bs. But why would I pay them 80K when I could pay an H-1B visa from India 50K or
Like
something
having
like that?
incentives to pick an American first before somebody overseas. I can see
Yeah.
like the incentives
Because there
drive
is a
to it.
law that requires them to try and fill the position with an American, but like a crazy loophole they use is they'll put it in like the fine print in the back of like the ad book in like the tiniest font ever, unreadable
Yeah.
practically, and then obviously they get no applicants. And then when they do, they're like, "Oh, I guess we have to go hire foreign labor."
Yeah.
And I just,
I would definitely go.
oh, what were you
No, I
saying?
would definitely be like in support of like, hey, we're gonna make an incentive for you if you hire somebody that is an American over somebody who is from London, as an example. We're gonna give you like an extra amount for your licensing or something. We'll reduce the fees or we'll add something to like a bond or whatever. Like we start finding ways to like, give them revenue or financial incentives to hire American workers over someone they can get from Italy or like Germany or something. I would be okay with something like that being implemented. Uh,
Yeah.
but like,
And there are certain things that Americans can't
yeah,
do or don't know how to do yet, and we do need to bring people from other countries. Like I said, I'm not like I'm not a million or 100% opposed to legal immigration in all ways. The only reason I would want it to happen, at least for the time being, is to benefit Americans, just because I look at America from a Gen Z lens of, we're the first generation, besides, like I said, the religious thing, but we're the first generation also to not be taken care of by previous
right.
generations. Every other generation before us had a lot. Like my grandparents bought their house for $34,000.
Yeah, and even millennials are still suffering
That's
too. Like Gen Z and millennials are just in the
I would. Oh
shitters.
yeah, like millennials, Gen Z, and anything under just got
Just
absolutely fucked in my
fucking
opinion. Just got the
yeah, they're
boot.
fucking falling. But the point that I was making was that like you're right. We should like because of the villainization that happened over this one specific situation. You already have people that are wanting to use that and weaponize it and use it for their advantage. Like I wouldn't, and this is just coming from me. I'm excited to hear what you're going to say about this, but I wouldn't want my memorial to have a voter registration booth at all at my fucking memorial when I'm dead.
Yep.
And I don't want my wife to be treated like some fucking WWE star and being like, you know what, we're gonna like,
Pyrotechnics
what
coming out
the
of the
fuck
fucking
are we
ground.
doing? Like this
Yeah.
is a time where she's mourning the loss of her husband and her children's
I have a
father,
different theory on that one.
and
I don't think she's mourning that
I
hard.
mean, I saw the theories of like she's mourning, but like not mourning, but like
I think she was his handler.
oh, that's an interesting theory we can get into. But like her saying, he would forgive, God would forgive, I forgive. I don't think we should treat our enemies like this. And then the president saying, I hate my enemies, and I want nothing
Yeah.
but the worst for them. And
Yep.
but 2 weeks prior, you were saying things like on it. By the way, the video that he posted about the announcement, did you see like how almost like it's AI?
Oh yeah,
Like
that was it.
why are
His
you
little hand
why are
glitch,
you faking
like
an
goes like that with
yeah?
his hand glitch.
Why are you
That
faking
was
this video? What
worse than the Biden edits they used to make.
right, dude. The auto pen. Like what? Like, the auto pen or the AI
It's-
video? Which one? Like what are we doing?
it was worse than any of the Biden edits. I
It's
mean, I'll
like
give you
come
that one. That was
on.
bad, bad.
Like that.
What was even worse was the next day, like literally the day after he's killed. They Trump's having a interview on the White House lawn, and they're like, so how are you dealing with, how are you feeling, how are you dealing with it? And he goes, I think I'm doing just fine. Look over there though, there's a bunch of trucks, they're building the new ballroom. And it's like, dude, like,
Obama stood
are
for
you fucking kidding me?
Obama
Like this
stood
country.
for 45 minutes at a salute for soldiers
Yeah.
he's never met before, watching their caskets come off of a giant fucking plane when they died. And like there's
Yeah, I mean, I don't
soldiers
love Obama, but that was very
like there's
respectable. I will
soldiers that
say
were saying
that.
like I don't like his views, I don't like his opinions, I don't like how he's policying our government, but he sat there a crisp salute for 45 minutes. He honored our dead soldiers more than any
Yep.
other president. Like just optics alone. Just optics alone. The president being like, "Oh yeah, like I feel okay,
Yeah.
but look at this fucking 60-foot tall gold statue."
And
I'm
he's
like,
talking about something where he's wasting taxpayer dollars too. They're spending 150 like million on this ballroom or
and
whatever the
that
fuck it
money
is. It's like,
that money could go to like a mental institution. That money could go to schools. That money could go to a state that needs it the most because their infrastructure's fucking falling apart. Like all of that money
yeah.
could be used to go back into your pockets, to go back into your paycheck. Like that's something that I found absolutely abhorrent. The administration is just handling this so poorly, and he doesn't understand
Yeah.
what's happening right now because it's not just the Texas guy. The Texas guy is just one of potentially many people that will use his death, Charlie Kirk's death, for violence, and that's scary to think about. Like I would,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like really weird, like on the right and the left, there's a lot of like you were saying, the Texas example, and then I've seen plenty of other examples. I mean, Andrew Tate tweeted out civil war. You know, there were people on Fox News saying like this is war. There was a lot of weird messaging from the left. The stuff I saw that I didn't really love was specifically, I'm sure there was more beyond this, but from Destiny and Hassan Piker. I think Hassan Piker almost needs to, again, I'll support anyone's right to, like I said, say
yeah.
anything, but the second it crosses into violence is where you got to start
Well, you gotta
kind of
really
honing in on him.
slow down.
And like Hassan Piker was the guy saying like these people should feel like these people should not feel safe at these events. They should feel like there is a threat. And that itself is like a scary, I don't know, when you're speaking to a lot of really young people, you have an obligation to, again, not everything you say has to be perfect or edited or polished, but you have an obligation to at least push these people down a non-violent
Yeah.
path. And at a point, it's like, what's the difference between a mob boss ordering a low-level soldier to kill somebody and like a streamer saying like this is fucking war, pick up your weapons, or like these people shouldn't feel safe, and then someone goes and does something? Like there's not a huge difference to me in that, and like those guys would get the RICO
Yeah, because
charge.
like influence is a
And I'm
huge
not saying
thing.
Hassan should get RICO'd,
But
but
influence
you
is
get what I'm saying. It's like you gotta,
yeah, you're right. Because influence is such a powerful tool. Influence from
yeah,
someone that's like a Nick Fuentes as individual, or the president, or like AOC and Destiny, or Hassan and like Elon. Like we can go down the list. You're absolutely right. But their influence
yeah.
is important. And so I agree with you. Like that kind of rhetoric is wild. Like I wouldn't have said something like that if I was in their positions. I'd be saying things like we need to hold these these people in government accountable. We should not let them get off of the break until they realize the shit that they're fucking saying over international news and national news is being perpetuated by the people that support them. And instead of saying the bullshit that you're saying, you need to pull that back, apologize for what you said, and say, hey, we need to tone this down. So like,
Yeah.
and because no child or teenager or young adult or old adult at any college or any school should ever feel like their life is on the line because they're learning. Like that should not be what
Yep.
a school should be going through. What they should be going through.
No one in general should
No
ever feel their
one.
life is on the line unless you've committed a very violent act and our government's going to be the ones to put you down.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Right. No, absolutely. Sorry. I fully agree. No one should be experiencing this whatsoever, especially schools, especially preschools or
Yeah.
elementary schools or
Especially
churches
kids, yeah.
or
Been a lot of recent school
it's
shootings. A lot of them.
terrifying. And actually the same day that Charlie Kirk got shot, 3 people died in
There was
Colorado.
like 3 different, and then beyond just that, there was a shooting at a military base too.
Yep.
There was a lot of different stuff that happened that day.
Yeah.
I want to really quick go back to one thing before I forget about it, because I know I will. I want to talk about I call it the GOP donor event, the memorial service. It was I agree with what you were saying earlier, how the entire thing was kind of just a sham. The one thing I did realize though, because I originally said the exact same thing almost word for word as you, where I was just like shitting on the entire thing. But the one thing I was thinking about is, as weird as it is, like I would never want it this way. I'm sure you wouldn't, and most normal people.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. Like, and I don't mean that in like a bad way, but I mean like Charlie Kirk's entire life was Turning Point
Yeah.
USA, like over, not over his family, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like that was his
Yeah.
baby. And I feel like that is kind of like what Charlie, I feel like if Charlie knew it would have happened exactly how it was going to happen, he wouldn't have changed a thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a crazy thing to me where it's, I don't know. I really disliked the event. Like I said, I watched it and I had the same feeling as you. I was like, why is it all of Trump's cabinet speaking and not, like his daughters and not
Mother, his father, his best
Yeah,
friends, his people from high school,
his sister even.
yeah,
Like,
his fucking family. Why are
yeah.
they like? Why is it just his wife? And then the Trump administration?
Yeah, that part was very, very odd to me. It just seemed like a donor event. The pyrotechnics were absurd. I mean, like, you cannot have fireworks at a fucking funeral. That's just, that's funeral 101. I used to live with a funeral service major, and he'll tell you that. You don't have fireworks at a fucking funeral.
No, you don't. And it's like you had somebody. Oh my god, you had a guy. I just pulled it up. A guy walking with a cross. A whole big fucking cross on his goddamn shoulders. They're they're weaponizing his death. He's in a stadium, just like when Michael Jackson died.
What was the cross thing? I don't know what you're talking about.
This dude, I pulled it up. It's this picture
I'll
of
pull
this
it
like
up.
if you type in just Charlie Kirk Memorial and you like pull up the images, you'll see this like this guy, this like older dude in like a navy.
Like he carried a cross
He's
with
carrying
him?
like a giant fucking cross with him on wheels, and he's just walking through the arena. Like you'll see
I actually
it.
don't think that's the worst thing. I think that can be interpreted a few different ways. I do agree with what you're saying that it could be like a weird
It's the imagery.
kind of thing, but at the same time it could just be a really religious, like I know a lot of really religious people who would do stuff like that.
Which like I understand when it comes to like that to like if they're already like religious to that point, but a lot of these people in here were like praying. Some of them that weren't praying started to begin to join in. What I'm saying is that like it's 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 a showmanship. It's showmanship. It's a performance. This is a theater to them. This is a show. This is the stage that they get to perform for under the guise of a memorial for a man who essentially had different views, whether you and I can disagree or agree on the views, but the fact that he died because of those views, they're taking his message and his views and throwing it and saying this is what we're going to be now, and anybody that disagrees with it, someone like Jimmy Kimmel or myself or other people, if we disagree with it, we should have our voices removed. And because it's this like, oh my god, gotcha moment. And like if the left has done that, I disagree with that fully. Stop, bar none.
I don't agree with
disagree
voices being removed.
I don't.
I do agree kind of with some of the firings though. I think that part's a little different. Like I think social consequences do exist. Like for example, one time when I was big on Trump, I one time was at I was like peacefully counter protesting with a couple people at a local protest. And like the amount of times I was called like just absolute absurdities, and I don't know, there are some things that like if I said in front of my job, like in front of my boss, or you said in front of your boss, or if your boss saw, or if my boss saw that, it would just be instantly you're done. So like I do kind of get it. Like, like a good example would be like when Pine Sap got fired for the Jubilee far right video when he said he was pro-fascism. It's like similar to me as that is like, celebrating death, saying certain things, like they are gonna get you fired.
Yeah.
And it's, I am almost like shocked that some people are surprised that it happened to them. Where I do agree with you is like the FCC stuff. I think that's crazy. Like when Trump pressures the FCC to take something off the air, that's crazy. If Jimmy Kimmel's gonna get taken off the air, it should be because
the
of bad
people.
ratings and nothing
by the
else. Yeah,
people. The
like
people should be able to go to ABC and say what he said about Trump and his reaction to Charlie Kirk is
oh,
abhorrent.
I don't even think that.
Like,
Like I think that's fine.
well, no,
Like
I
I don't think
know,
what he said is fine, but I think it's
but like they
I
should.
don't think that should even be punishable by the people.
100%.
I only think like if AB what show is it on? ABC? What
Yeah, it's
channel? Or
ABC.
I don't even know. But so if ABC was like, "Hey Kimmel, your ratings suck. We're going to take you off and you're also getting a lot of heat for this, so like it's time."
Yeah.
That would make sense to me. But if the sole reason is like people are just mad at things he said, it's like, okay, then just tune out and then let the numbers do the work for you.
Right.
Like if you're so mad about what he said, everyone just stop watching and then what are they going to do? They're going to air a show and lose millions a fucking year? Probably not.
Right.
So like that's the solution to that in my
But
opinion. I don't think people should ever be like I said, I would never want to be censored. I know I say some out of pocket things sometimes. So I extend that same courtesy.
you should never, and we agree on this. You should never, ever, in the history of forever, use a government entity and say, if you don't kick him off, you're losing your licenses. You're losing your ability to broadcast. That in and of itself is against the First Amendment. So I agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree with you. If ABC say, hey, listen, even though you said this, your ratings suck, Dick, and we don't like what you're saying anymore. So this is going to be the end of your contract, or when your contract is done, we're not going to renew you. Like that's one thing, but you should never use the government to force somebody out, because at that point, if it starts at Kimmel, it goes to everybody else below him and above him. Everyone's fucked in this situation. It's the same thing with the government saying, "I'm going to take your guns away because you said a thing we don't like, and we don't want you trying to retaliate, so we're taking your guns by force." That's the whole point of the Second Amendment.
We would retaliate.
Right, you would retaliate. And you know what?
The reason they won't take guns is because they know the day they knock on someone's door like mine to take my guns, that's the day the Civil War starts.
Right. And honestly,
real.
because I haven't got one yet, but because I'm I'm respecting my beautiful lady, but like when I get one and they do that to me, that's exactly what I'm going to do too. I'm going to be saying, fuck you, get the fuck out of my face. I'm not letting you do it. And then things are going to go down. But like, that's because these rights are so important to have for specific reasons. It's because we don't want a government to be authoritative or fascistic to the point where it becomes a dictatorship. Fidel Castro, Mao, fucking Mussolini, mustache guy.
Mussolini. No, I'm kidding.
Come on. Okay, listen.
I'm Italian.
I know you're
I'm Italian.
I know. But the point is that like, because of the Constitution and the amendments that we have, if you lose one, you lose them all. Every single one of them, just like in the US Capitol, they're holding all of these different pillars, because it's really, because you've done the tour where you can like go through and see like, oh, you've never done.
I've seen the outside of the Capitol. I've seen the outside of I've been to DC a handful of times. I've never done any of the tours.
You got to go.
Never. I went to the Spy Museum as a kid, and that's it.
Okay, so the next time you go to DC, you're going to go to the Capitol. You have to go to the back side of the Capitol to get in, because it goes through the back and down to the inside.
I'll just breach it. January 6th style.
He said it, not me. When you go in, you can actually set up.
Allegedly, I'm kidding.
Alleged. When you go in, you can go and actually do either a Capitol tour or a Senate tour, and you can see the Senate in session or the Capitol and do the whole tour of the building. They bring you right back to the entrance of it, which is super cool. But like, when you go in, there's all of these different pillars that are inside holding the whole thing up. And within within all of the pillars, around them are the different statues of each of the states, and each statue is a significant individual from that state. In the center of this area, where all of the foundation pillars are, is the president's, is George Washington's supposed grave, where he was supposed to be buried, but he didn't want to be buried there. He wanted to be buried with his wife. So they set it up that way, to where because I talked to the guy about it, he said if one of the foundation pillars collapses, the rest of the Capitol could also collapse. Like, it's that important to have it. So when you go in and then you go up the stairs, because these are where the pillars are, you go upstairs, you start to walk the area, and that whole ground area is being held up. It's such a cool experience. You have to go into the Capitol without breaking in and actually see it, because The whole point is I represent the foundation pillars as amendments to the Constitution. Every single one of them is
Okay.
important. Every single one of them is important. That's why it's so hard to remove them and bring them back in. So if you remove one of those pillars, even something as simple as the 22nd Amendment, I think that would destroy the Constitution. And that's something we could debate about, but I just think that because of the way that they're established, because of the way that they're created, because of the specific clauses that get rid of and add in and separate and detail and signify specific things, like how the Fifth Amendment works for federally, but the 14th Amendment has a clause that works for states' rights, like that is very important to have. If you get rid of the 14th Amendment specifically, that clause where you have due process rights through states gets removed. Now imagine in the state of Florida, you get arrested because you ran 50 in a 40 and they throw you in the fucking and book you and you don't have a right to due process. They just say that you're guilty. That changes things. That changes your perspective.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
No, yeah, I think I think right now I don't know. I think what you're saying is correct. I think that's a pretty good metaphor of like if you remove one pillar, same as like removing an amendment. I do agree. There probably are some ones we could get rid of. I could probably debate you on that. But in general, I do agree, especially when it comes to, 1 through 5, really. I mean, those are here. Actually, 3 is a little bit of a weird one. It's
I
like
don't want the military.
no soldiers staying in your
Yeah,
house.
you don't want them. I mean, you don't want them.
How often did that happen? Is my question.
Well,
How often did that actually happen? That they were like Third Amendment.
Well, back then it actually happened a lot. In a lot of the places in the 13 districts, when England would come over and provide whatever they were providing, soldiers would shack up in these buildings and force
Oh
the
yeah.
families and the women to not only feed them and bathe them and house them, but also do irreparable sexual acts as well. Like the military back then was very ruthless for the time that it was in, but because they were the British military, the guys couldn't do anything. The boys couldn't do anything. They didn't have any guns. They didn't really have any guns to protect themselves with. And they also didn't have their own rights because they were part of England still. So that's why the Third Amendment is the way it is because of what happened. And
I just find it funny that it comes before certain other ones. That
Yeah.
it was that important. They had to make it third on the
Oh,
list. That part was always a little bit funny to me.
yeah, it is a little funny, like seeing how they like established like some of the amendments. Like I love that the Fourth, the Fifth, and the Sixth Amendment are like the way that they are, but then like the Seventh Amendment pops up, and I think it's like
Well, the fourth doesn't even exist.
not at this
anymore.
point.
I mean,
yeah, it's so
yeah.
like
That's also one of my biggest problems with the entire Charlie Kirk thing.
Yeah.
And bear with me for a second on this, but it's like about Palantir, I'd assume.
yeah. We talked about it
Or
before.
like a base level amount about
Yeah,
it. Yeah, so like they have all our data. Like they've read your text, they've read mine, our phone calls, emails. They know who we're following on. They have profiles on all of us. If they have all that, why the fuck is there so much violence? Like what? Here's my thing. Like they said to us, the government is selling. The way they pitched it to the American people is, we're selling your data to Palantir, but in return, we're going to stop hundreds, if not thousands, of terror attacks. Yeah. Are they getting stopped? It does not seem like it. Like Luigi Mangione shot a guy in the back of the head. This kid shot Charlie Kirk in the neck. Someone shot that Democratic senator 4 months ago. We have constant violence in this country, and it doesn't seem like us giving our data away to Palantir for free is actually helping us. It seems like we're just being spied on and borderline invaded.
Well, here's what's crazy: the Luigi Mangione thing is now even more of a situation, because remember what, like, the DOJ said something referencing Luigi Mangione, and the defense attorney was like, "Hey, why is the DOJ, the head of the DOJ, saying things about Luigi? This should be a mistrial, and the charges should be dismissed because the DOJ is getting involved in this situation." And the judge was even ordering the DOJ to stop talking about him because you have the jury is like trying to not hear anything to make sure that they're not biased, but it's kind of hard when the DOJ says something and you're just watching the channel one day and it just pops up out of nowhere. But no,
Do you think he's guilty?
that is tough. Honestly, from the video that I saw, I don't think it was him personally. Uh,
Really?
I don't think
I think
so.
it was 100%
Do
him. I think that's something we disagree
in this
on.
situation, do I find him guilty? I mean, to be quite honest with you, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really like focus up on Luigi. When I heard that it was him, I was like, hey, listen, jokingly, I was like, free my boy. But like at the same time, like if he's found guilty, he's found guilty. I'm not gonna try and stop that. It's just, but what's interesting, and this is where I start to get a little conspiratorial with this, because photos have been popping up of this Tyler Robinson dude, and apparently he doesn't look the same, I guess, from like other
Oh,
photos.
the Candace
You,
Owens
yeah,
thing?
like what do you know about that? Because I have no idea about that specific thing. I don't know what the fuck is going on with her and with that.
So, yeah, I mean, Candace has a lot of. I'll walk you through, I guess, like the last week of her theories. I'll do it quickly. But it started off Charlie got killed, and then after, immediately, her first stream was like, it's fucking Israel. It's Israel. Bill Ackman was blackmailing him in the Hamptons. Bibi Netanyahu read this letter, but it's fake, and she claimed she had the real letter. She still is refusing to release. She then, about 2 days later, switched it from it was Israel to it was the feds. And then after that, she switched it from it's the feds to it's this gothic bee cult. And I like when I say bee, I mean like bees, like the bug.
Like what?
Like she's saying like there's dude, I'm gonna laugh as I'm saying this because it's so fucking ridiculous. But she's saying that there's this group. Yeah, you should Google it. She's saying that there's a group of people speaking in code about bees, and they're actually talking about murder, is what she's saying, which again could be true. Like, I'm not saying like it's the most insane thing in the world that people would speak in code about murder, but the way she goes from like one theory to the next to the next to the next and just flows with the wind, it's like, okay, get a fucking grip, first of all. And then now, they released the letter, the Bibi Netanyahu letter, 7 pages of essentially Charlie Kirk sucking up to be. The entire thing is pretty much Charlie Kirk saying, like, here's how you should push propaganda to the American people. Here's an exact playbook of how to do it. And Candace said she had the other letter and is refusing to release it. So it just doesn't seem credible. And she's also saying that it's this other kid who she doesn't have the name of who's involved with this gothic cult, which I don't think that's true either. I think the original theory is actually I think the FBI actually could be kind of correct on what they're saying. And when I said earlier that the FBI fucked up Charlie Kirk, I still believe that because A, how long it took them to get the guy, and then B, there's a lot of discrepancies with the clothing change, with the rifle. Like, they said he left his gun tool on the roof, but then his gun was reassembled in the woods. They said he changed on the roof, but the text messages they released said he changed in the woods. The text messages were also really weird. It was like, hey, it's 0900. I'm going to circle back to my squad car. I'm 2 mics out. Like, it was straight military and police talk. Very weird.
Like, tell me
But there
how.
does seem to be evidence provided by Discord to show that the messages were real.
Okay.
Or not the text messages we saw, but that the Discord messages were real.
Mhm.
So that part's really interesting. Another really interesting part is if Tyler Robinson ends up getting convicted, it looks like Bill Ackman is going to pay his dad $1 million. Because Bill Ackman put $1 million bounty out to say, whoever turns in the killer will get $1 million from me, and the person who turned in the killer happens to be the kid's dad, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that seems a little wild. But like, so let's go.
I don't think my dad would sell me out for $1 million. I think it would take a little more.
Fuck no, fuck no. But like,
Even if I killed someone, I think my dad would hide me for
even as a
at
father,
least like it'd have to take 10 million maybe. He'd sell me out.
yeah, I'm not a father or anything.
He's not even rich. He's a dad.
Yeah, I'm not a father, but I would never, ever, in a billion, bajillion, fucking infinity years, ever sell my son out to the fucking government or anybody else, ever, never in the history of the world. So
I don't. For me, it's tricky. I don't know. I'm in between on it. Maybe for like a murder, I wouldn't. But like a mass murder, I might. or like something really, really bad, like some kind of terrorist attack, which that would be. I consider all mass murders terrorist
Yeah.
attacks. You know, there's domestic and there's foreign terrorists, so I'll frame it that way. But any terror attack, I would heavily. I mean, again, this is gonna sound like super dark, but like if I had to live with that and know I was like hiding, not that I could get over like a murder, but like hiding a mass atrocity that I knew about and like my son did and I knew he committed
Yeah.
it, I would like really struggle with actually like living at that
Oh
point. Like I
yeah,
would,
for sure. I would
yeah,
struggle with it
like
too.
that's a dark mindset, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would probably actually coerce him to turn himself in. I think that's what I would do. I would be
yeah.
like, "You're gonna turn
Well,
yourself
it
in."
sounds like the neighbors are the ones who convinced him. It sounds like his police officer neighbor is the one who
Yeah,
originally convinced
yeah,
him.
it sounds 100% like that was the case. From reading what Candace said, it's crazy because she's like, he's not suicidal. The narrative that the media is placing is completely fictional. His father turning him in is a lie. He wasn't at the campus. Like, it seems insane, but 100%.
I will say he pled not guilty, I
Yeah, I
think.
think so too. I mean, but like, I
Yeah,
mean,
which is interesting.
it is
Very
it is
interesting.
interesting that he would plead not guilty, even if they got like a insurmountable amount of evidence on him. But it's also because of the
You would
fact,
think if he turned, like, if he wanted to turn himself in, if that story was
yeah.
true, there, like I said, there's some weird things that I just can't
Like if I'm turning myself in,
align.
I'm guilty. I'm saying that right now. If I turn myself in, I
Yeah,
know that I'm guilty in my heart. I'm gonna say guilty.
yeah.
But if I don't turn myself in, I'm not fucking guilty. But what's crazy is the FBI fucked so hard. They completely fucked this whole thing up. Like, why is Cash Patel saying he got up, he disassembled his rifle, put it in the backpack, went all the way up to the roof, got on the ground, assembled the rifle, popped, disassembled the rifle, jumped off the roof, reassembled the rifle, and threw it out in the fucking woods. Like, I looked up the rifle. You cannot
30-06. I've shot that. Not
Right.
that exact rifle. I've shot a very similar rifle. I mean, and you I don't know if I could show a bullet on stream, but I was gonna show like I don't have a 30-06 bullet here, but I have a 5.7 actually sitting on that table.
Nice.
And I was gonna say like a 5.7 is like a smaller 30-06. It penetrates through armor.
Yeah.
Like if someone's wearing a bulletproof vest, it's gonna shoot pretty clean through it.
Yeah.
Or at least it's gonna do some real damage.
Like,
And he was shot with a bullet about twice the size of
and
that
that thing destroys,
spearhead.
like,
I mean, just Google a 30-06 bullet. It's
that thing
crazy.
destroys watermelons. Do you think that he's gonna like, not only
I have a 22 that will destroy watermelons.
right, right. No, exactly. I have
My AR-1522 will blast through plywood. It
boom.
will definitely blast through a watermelon.
It would turn that shit to fucking powder. Okay, it's that bad. Like, you really think it's like this is where the conspiracy starts to come into place. And I feel like for me, like, I don't like getting into conspiracy waters, but the only one that I will actually get into is the round itself, because there's no shot, because I've shot 30-06 would just go in and just have him leak and not come in and blast a
Said
fucking
his neck
stadium
bone. They
size
said his
hole.
neck bone stopped it.
I
The
would.
only thing I will say is this:
I want to see the autopsy of
the
that.
only they didn't do an autopsy.
What?
Yeah, no autopsy. Which that's another sketchy thing.
Why would you not do an
But
autopsy?
exactly. I don't know.
So,
At least from what I've heard, maybe let me Google it just so I'm not spewing bullshit. But
yeah, I'm doing it too. There's no
I don't
way.
think there was. Yeah, he did not have an autopsy.
What?
Oh wait, actually wait, what? Okay, it maybe there was. I don't know. Now I'm seeing conflicting reports.
Same. I'm seeing conflicting reports.
Let me see. I'll just look on. I got a good source here. Let me search it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really weird. I mean, the weirdest thing to me is the Patsy, the really old Jewish guy with the child porn.
Yeah. Yeah, that is weird.
Well, this headline just popped up as I was opening X. Barron Trump shuts down an entire floor of Trump Tower for a date. I will say this. I know you probably don't. I don't love Donald Trump at this point. Barron Trump has aura. I'll give him that. Barron Trump, he's like 6'8", kind of a tank. I'll give him that. He's a good looking son of a bitch. But yeah, I mean, don't agree with everything his dad's doing right now for sure.
I just can't honestly believe that, like,
But yeah, the guy George Zinn, if you haven't looked into that, that's the guy who got arrested immediately that they said was the shooter, but he wasn't, and he was the guy saying, "I'm the shooter, shoot me." And then when they searched his phone, they found child porn. Um, and they didn't find
How do
any
you
connection to the shooting.
how do you fuck up that hard? You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah, why would you say I'm the shooter knowing you're gonna get arrested? Like, again, I'm for every pedophile getting what's coming to them, so I have no problem with that guy getting arrested for that. But my
yeah,
point is, like, how the fuck are you that dumb?
like why would you
It's been a lot of weird pedophile shit too recently. There
yo.
was that Tom Ordium guy.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw
I
that.
saw that. Oh,
Tom Ordium Alexander.
oh yeah.
If you post about him, you get deleted now off TikTok. I got my account banned on TikTok yesterday, and I got it back on an appeal. But I posted about Tom Ordium Alexander, and I posted a screenshot of the tweet that the FBI put out that said from Kash Patel. It said nobody's above the law. And then under it, he got community noted. It said, actually, the guy who works directly under Bibi Netanyahu just fled justice back to Israel on pedophilia charges in America.
Jesus.
I was like, how are you going to say nobody's above the law? But
Right.
this. And I got, I don't know, that's one of the craziest things. Actually, I want to ask you where you stand on that. Who would you rather own TikTok? The Chinese Communist Party, China, essentially, or would you rather Israel own it?
Oh no, I'm not letting Israel touch shit. I ain't letting Israel touch
They
dick.
own it now, though.
I
They just bought
I
it. Larry Ellison bought it.
I
Larry Ellison is the #1 donor to the IDF, and he's one of the biggest supporters financially of Israel
yeah, no,
outside of just the United States.
I don't feel good about
So
that.
the person they put in charge of PR as well and in charge of moderation is the former head of the IDF.
Yeah, I don't feel good about that. Nope, nope, nope. Nope.
No.
Don't agree with that
I
whatsoever.
put out a poll on Twitter. I said, who would you rather own your TikTok data, China or Israel? And everyone picked China.
Yeah, I would much rather because e- even though like I feel some type of way about, China because I used to live there and like like I've had
Yeah.
personal, things like I don't hate China. I don't, despise it or anything. It's just like I had personal issues that didn't really work with me. I will never, ever in a fucking million years let Israel touch my shit. Fuck no. I do not support that. I do not
Yeah.
agree with that. Keep that shit the fuck out of here. Nope. Not even no.
Israel could pay me $1 billion and I still wouldn't go and kiss their wall.
No.
I would literally never.
No.
The idea of it is just so. One of the things I hate the most that Israel does, like outside of the war stuff and outside of the financial stuff,
Yeah.
when it comes to the propaganda, one of the things I hate the most is the way they weaponize the Bible against Christians and against Americans. So obviously, America when it comes to religion, it's predominantly Christian for religion. And Bibi Netanyahu just yesterday, he talked about the Genesis verse where he says, "Those who bless Israel will be blessed." And like a quick religion lesson to like any of the viewers listening, but it's like when you say that, it's directly contradictory to a Christian's beliefs because what he's quoting is the Old Testament. And Christians believe that when Jesus died on the cross, the prophecies of the Old Testament were fulfilled, and that's how we got the New Testament. It's not a sequel, it supersedes the Old Testament. So when you're quoting the Old Testament to Christians saying that it's an act they have to do, you're directly saying that like I don't respect your religion in a way.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're trying to weaponize something that is not even like it's not that the Bible is not real to us. It's a very real verse in Genesis. But my point is to interpret that as like we have to support Bibi Netanyahu, essentially the worst modern day dictator in our time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like fuck off.
Yeah, no,
Stop weaponizing my religion against
well, and that's the
me.
thing, right? Is that like it just seems like there's a lot of weaponization that is happening to to religion, to political ideologies, and it's just it's corrosive. Like I wouldn't I used to be Catholic because my mom that's how my mom and my dad raised me, but
Yeah.
like
Cradle Catholic?
not
Just like born into it, you mean?
yeah, sort of kind of like my mom is a Catholic from Argentina, so she like was like
Oh, nice.
devout. My dad was a Christian, but the only like church that we had close by us was a Catholic church, so we went to that a lot, and like I learned a lot. But I don't think I went until I was like 4 or 5. It's when I can actually like read.
Okay.
When I can actually read.
Yeah.
But the point was is that, like, I left on my own terms. I didn't, and it's not because I don't like Catholicism or Christianity. It's just I got to experience other religions and got to see like the beauties
Yeah.
of it. So it makes me who I am today. But like, if someone told me that you have to be Catholic because Muslims are this, Christians are that, Protestants are this, Jews are that, like, and then if you decide to leave, we're going to isolate you from your family, from your community, from your loved ones. Like, weaponize, why would you weaponize this religion against me? And why would you weaponize
Yeah.
other religions and basically Stockholm syndrome me into this religion? And like, I think that that's what's happening right now with not just religion but with politics. It used to be the days where like you would have disagreements, and like Mitt Romney and Bush, like you are Mitt Romney and Obama, like you would talk it out, and even though you had disagreements with each other, you were trying to find what was best for the country. Now it just seems like it's now become more of like a I have to win a debate. I have to win this shouting match to become president, because if I don't, and if I don't tell people, listen, the left is trying to kill you, the right is trying to take all your money away and all your rights away, like it starts to become corrosive. That's it, literally
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
say all the time, it's not a battle of left and right that we're in this country, and that's how the media frames
Yeah,
it. They frame it as if it's left versus
yeah,
right. It's good versus
yeah,
evil, and that's all it is. It's there. The way I look at it is there's pure demonic evil in this world. There are people who are just going to take a life because they don't agree with a person. There are people who are going to commit atrocious acts, shootings, burn down churches, burn down buildings, burn down schools. They're going to shoot up clubs, concerts. They're going to shoot up all, like, they're going to commit these atrocious acts. These things do exist. There, in my mind, there is demonic influence in this world, and it's really just a battle of good versus
yeah,
evil. Because it's kind of like what we were saying just right in the beginning of the show today, but it was like people on the left disagree about so much, but we can all, for the most part, agree that violence shouldn't be happening.
right,
And there are people on the right and there are people on the left who think that violence is the
right.
answer. Like, there are people. I had someone comment on my Spotify on one of my things, and they were like, it's time for us to lead the crusades like God led the crusade. And it's like, no, it is time to pick up your fucking
Oh,
Bible and your rosary, and it is time to get on your knees and pray to Christ that you put your actions and intentions in the alignment with the will of God.
oh,
It is not time for violence, it's time for the
I
opposite.
was in a live about maybe the day after it happened, right? I'm mowing the lawn, minding my fucking business, helping my dad out. And I hear a guy say, one, that the left is going to get what they deserve, that we are going to avenge Charlie Kirk, that the vengeance is going to be ruthless. That was what one guy said to me. Another guy said to me, I don't feel bad. And this is what you got. This is why I don't feel bad about what happened to Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin, like,
Was that the kid who got shot by George Zimmerman in
yes,
Florida?
yeah. And
I
and and,
remember that. I was so young when that
and
happened.
like
I like don't even remember the details, but I know
and
about it.
like the fact, like one, why are we asking for vengeance against a political party that we don't even know who did the thing or not? And also, two, why are you saying that 10 years ago this kid got shot and killed by George Zimmerman? Whether we agree or disagree on the happening, this kid gets shot and killed by George Zimmerman, and that was justified because of what happened to Charlie Kirk. Why are we
Yeah, I
putting
don't
these
think they're
they're
related at all. I think
not.
that's a
Not
crazy.
even
Yeah.
close. That's like me
Yeah,
saying
some people are just
that's
insane.
like me saying that, like, because Trump got shot at, you know, that that's what you guys get for what happened to George Floyd. Why are we trying to conflate the two? Both of these things are
Yeah, it's
atrocious, but we should not be trying
yeah.
to make like, this is what happened here. This is why you deserve this. That's literally animalizing people. You're literally animalizing tragedies for your own benefit. What does that achieve? That just turns you into a
Yeah,
villain.
I think when you like try and like compare things like that don't really have to do with each other. Like, I think comparing reactions makes more sense, but like comparing the actual, like, if you say like after like a good example I could use is like if you said like after George Floyd died, people burned down buildings versus like after Charlie Kirk that didn't happen, that's a good argument. But if you're gonna say like if you're gonna say this happened, so now this is happening, like okay,
Right.
that's just a low IQ
and
argument in my
and that's
opinion.
something that can be very easily debated, right? Like that's fine. Like we can debate that kind of topic, but we should not be trying to villainize and be like this is justified because of this. And
No violence is ever
no
justified. I mean, that's
violence,
just
none.
yeah.
Like
Violence is again there's like less than 0.1% of instances I can think of in my mind to justify violence. And it's not even like like when I say justifying violence in the like the point some I mainly mean in self-defense
yeah,
instances. Like if someone's trying to take my life and I mean this in the best way, I'm going to take theirs. I'm not going to hesitate on it. If someone is in the process of reaching for their gun to take my life and I have the option to grab mine, it's them not me that
right. You're
day.
protecting
If someone
yourself.
breaks in my house, same thing. It's them not
Yeah.
me. But then yeah, like when you bring it to real world examples of like a guy goes into a fucking grocery store and just shoots a cashier because he's having a bad like there's zero justification for any of this rise in violence we're seeing.
Right.
And real quick, are you down if we take a 1 minute pause so I could go to the bathroom real
Go for
quick?
it, because I'm gonna grab like something to drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's very destructive to villainize each other when you can easily find common ground. And I I don't support people, throwing parades or cheering and celebrating, but also I completely understand when people are like, I can't care. I don't care. You know, I don't personally, but I also am very sympathetic to his wife, to his kids. I'm sorry that this happened to them. I'm sorry that this is going on, but in order for us to move forward, we need some sort of reform, something, whether it's medical, like mental, or something with firearms, just something that can work. Because if you look at the laws of Utah, a month prior they got rid of a law that said that you can't have a gun on campus.
I don't think that law would have
I
stopped
don't
it.
think so either, but you know what? At least like that wouldn't be something that you can make as an excuse. You know what I mean? Like if the law is always,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
I get
saying?
that part of it. That can make sense. And yeah, I mean like one thing I also want to say like when you say like you don't care, I feel like you kind of not that you care in the sense of like about Charlie Kirk per se, but I would say you do care because you like you care about the violence itself
Yes.
and that's what's important. It's like
Yes.
I can 100% agree with you that not everybody has to care about Charlie
Right.
Kirk. Like you don't have to care about who Charlie Kirk was realistically. Like this is America. Again, everyone can have their own opinions, but it's about caring about the violence
Right.
and you do care about that.
I
And I think that's the most important part and that's the overlooked part where it gets into that shady gray area where it's like there's a ton of people I know who would just like, it goes in one ear, out the other. They don't give a shit. It doesn't affect their day. But it's the people who like celebrate the violence and the people who don't care about the violence, who are like they're almost people who are like kind of excited for it because they're like maybe this is going to be the start of some people want the
right.
Civil War to
Right.
happen
S-
and it's
you,
like
you've
okay, like
got you've got this is what the
let's engage in politics. Let's not engage in war.
yeah, you've got like the spectrum, right? Where it's like I'm going to celebrate the death. I'm going to weaponize the death. I don't care either
Yeah.
way. Like violence is never the
Oh
answer.
yeah.
Violence shouldn't be the answer. So it's one of the
Yeah.
things where it's
I
like
think the people like you're saying, like right here, they're in alignment.
right.
It's these
It's
sides, yeah.
right.
And I don't even think it's like far right and far left necessarily, because I would consider myself in the alt right. Like I would consider myself like I'm not a standard Republican anymore. I definitely used to be. I definitely align more with like I'm closer to Nick Fuentes than I am
You
to
got to be
Charlie Kirk
careful
in
with
a
that,
lot of
man. Come
positions.
on, you got to be a little careful with that.
I will say there's a lot of really good things that I think everyone has political differences with certain things, but I think there's a lot of things that get misinterpreted about him that I feel like when people actually tune like I know a lot of people on the left who love his streams who before were like they saw a tweet from him or something and they just completely wrote him off. So I understand the reaction completely, but I do think it's like here's like a good example. directly after the Charlie Kirk shooting. Like, this is the best example I could give,
Okay.
but like directly after it. And I mean like moments after, to the day after, even a week after, still to this day. I talked to a lot of other Nick Fuentes fans, and generally most of them are Catholics. Like, the Nick Fuentes movement is a Catholic movement
Yeah, it's very
over
heavy.
over being political. It's a
It's
Catholic
very heavy
movement.
Catholic, yeah.
Everyone I've talked to, and I've talked to, when I say hundreds, I literally mean hundreds. Everyone I've talked to was in the same state as me of like, the violence needs to stop. We're going to pray. We're not going to be weapons to this. And then, like, same thing as like when I went on stream and said, like, no violence. Nick Fuentes, same thing. He got on stream. He had, I think, like 3 million viewers on that stream or something, like an insane amount. But same thing. He was like, no violence. You know, like, this is our time to put our actions and intentions in alignment with the will of God, which I thought was like the correct message. You
Yeah.
could actually kind of like see the weight on his shoulders. You could like see it in his face. You could see that he knew in that moment that he had millions of people listening to him, and there were a lot of Charlie Kirk supporters, and not just that, it was a lot of really young men.
Yeah.
And realistically, the people who can build and break a nation are young men.
Yeah.
And that's not to discredit women in any way, but just to say that when it comes to fighting army, fighting wars, when it comes to building infrastructure, the majority of technology, things like that, it's generally male focused, most of these things. So men, specifically young men, pissed off men, confused young men, have the ability to make or break a nation. And I think the way he handled that situation was as best as he could have. And I think it was like the correct messaging to give. So that's one of the, I don't know, I will say, if you haven't ever watched a full stream, I would say watch at least just one full live stream before completely, because I know you're not gonna. I mean,
Well, I've watched
he's
like
he's far right. You're on the
well, I've
left.
watched like a lot of debates with him. I've watched a lot, I did watch a lot of videos of him because I was also interested. Like, this was like back in the day when I like was when I was just a viewer and less of a creator. But then when I started like hearing a lot of things that he said, I was like, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this either. But the what I will say is what they did to him, because they made a conspiracy theory that he was part of this Groyper movement, Tyler, that he was.
Oh, he runs the Groyper. The Groypers are his fans.
Tyler runs the Groypers?
Groyper just means what?
Tyler runs the Groypers or Nick?
No,
No, that's what I
Nick.
meant. So like
Oh, I thought you said.
Oh, no.
Tyler was not involved.
Yeah, right.
That's what Jimmy Kimmel was getting shit for, because
Right.
Jimmy Kimmel said
Well-
he was part of the right, insinuating he was a Groyper.
Well, multiple articles were like popping out with that, and Nick was like, "No, he's not a part of it. He's just part of Discord." And like, it got to a point where I had an argument yesterday with somebody about the casings on the rounds, where it was saying like, "Hey, fascist catch," and it was showing the arrows and like the OWO face. It's all memes. It's all internet stuff from
Yeah.
Helldivers and from like these video and from they weren't doing it to be like, "Hey, I'm a leftist, fuck a fascist." He was saying, "Hey, this is a funny thing from a propaganda game and a fun little action game that we like to play. I'm just gonna put it on the case." Like, he
I think it's more of a sign of like mental derangement.
Yes.
When it's like, when you're gonna commit like such an atrocious act and you're writing fucking jokes.
the church shooting,
Like, that's just like crazy to me. Yeah, the church
the
shooting was
guy's
crazy.
journal,
That video I'll
the
never
guys,
unsee.
their manifesto was all Russian. The whole thing was Russian
Yeah.
for 29 pages. I read it and I was trying to find out what the cause was. You look at the
I have the translation on my computer. It's wild.
really. I would love to look at that. But like,
ChatGPT won't translate it for
I
you
believe it.
either. It's so
the
annoying.
magazines,
It refuses to because of how fucked up the things are. It says every time you copy and paste it and say translate it, it just says content policy violation.
Jesus. The magazines
Yeah.
were saying all of the shooters, the mass shooters. This person was idolizing them. This like and like all of the guns were saying
That's why I
different
say
things.
it's good versus evil. It's not
right.
left versus right. Like,
Exactly. When
there
people-
is political violence when it comes to right to left
Yeah.
and left to right. It does exist, but realistically, it's rooted in evil. It's not rooted in the political beliefs as much as
And it's the same.
people like to say.
And it's the same thing with good too. Good is also on the right and the left. There are good intentions. There are bad intentions. There's
Yeah.
good and evil on both sides. Of course, it's going to exist. You can't have somebody who's always good on the left and always evil on the right, or vice versa. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. But
Yeah.
what's and that's why I actually support. I support, like, there's good and evil. It's on both sides. absolutely can agree with that. But like to kind of go off of it, like a lot of these people were just taking it and weaponizing the I don't know the Groypers, I just know that they exist. But like for him to say like I don't support the violence, I don't support this whatsoever. This is not okay. We shouldn't be doing this. We should be praying. I commend that. I even though I disagree with him,
Yeah, I mean,
I
it was a
commend it.
great monologue about
But
it. And you could almost see him getting like emotional as he's saying it
well
because
because
and that was another weird thing to me when it was like he almost seemed more emotional than fucking Erica Kirk.
well, because imagine it, right? Imagine that you are a strong political figure and you've been in contact with this person before, and you had
He never
multiple.
has.
Well, I'm not saying just
He
him.
has he was his opponent basically. So
Yeah,
Nick Fuentes' relationship to Charlie Kirk was Nick Nick would call Turning Point USA Talking Points USA.
right.
He would just look at Turning Point USA as a GOP drive
Yeah,
and nothing more. Like it would push the GOP talking points, it would support the Israel lobby, foreign wars, foreign aid, all those things. While Nick is more of a national stance where it's like no foreign wars, no foreign aid, less immigration,
yeah,
more Catholic and traditional values in the way that Turning Point went away from. And yeah, so Nick would uh, basically he what they called it was like the Groyper Wars,
yeah.
where it was they would Nick's viewers would go to Charlie Kirk's events and they would ask him questions that Charlie Kirk would refuse to answer. It would be like, "Hey, so have you ever heard about the five dancing Israelis on 9/11? What about the Israeli art students who were there on 9/11? What about the USS Liberty being sunk by Israel or being shot by Israel?"
Yeah.
You know, asking all these questions that Charlie Kirk would then refuse to answer. And it became a thing where like they were feuding and Nick got banned from every Turning Point
Yeah.
USA event. He's never actually I don't think to my knowledge I don't think he's ever actually talked to him. But yeah, it was like a crazy like faux relationship where they were adversaries, but you could see how heavily it weighed on Nick
Yeah.
when he passed and that was it was almost moving to see like his reaction versus you saw I don't know if you've seen this new fucking kid Brillin Hollyhand or whatever.
No, I haven't
Oh
seen
my
it.
god, Google
Berlin.
Brilliant Hollyhand. He's like a 18-year-old kid. They're trying to prop him up as the next Charlie Kirk,
Oh, I've seen
and
this
he's getting
piece.
shit on.
I've seen this piece of shit loser because he's a
He
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 looks
he
like him.
was
This guy fucking looks like
he
Charlie
was like
Kirk.
riding in a private jet with a $600 polo on, and people are shitting on it. It's
I
like,
would shit on
dude,
him
you're
too.
unrelatable. You're wearing a $600
So
polo,
unrelatable. This guy screams that he's a nepo baby. This guy screams neocon. He looks like he would be
and it's just
Bush's
not gonna
son.
work. Like
There's no
Nick
way.
Fuentes had a good thing in his stream last night about him, and he said, you know that like because the charm with this kid is he's like a young kid. He does have he's a good speaker. He's got that like southern thing to him, like he's from Alabama, all that.
This guy is.
But then Nick made a point. He's like, that southern draw is not going to work when it's 100 groypers deep in your lines at your campus events asking you questions about Israel that you cannot fucking answer. He's like, Charlie
Yeah.
Kirk is the only man to ever be able to get away with that because he built that reputation up over time. He's like, we're in a different era now where nobody trusts Israel. If you get up there on campus events and defend them, you're just going to get absolutely wrecked at this
And on
point.
both sides too, the left fucking despises Israel. Obviously, like we've talked about it before,
Yeah.
there's different messaging
They've
behind it.
lost the left
They
a long time ago.
The left is fucking far away gone. They've already passed them in this
Yeah.
marathon. But like the thing that makes it even crazier, right, is that this kid looks like he was propped up. He looks like he just came out of the fucking
Oh,
blue.
he was.
And
Yeah.
like
His dad's a GOP donor.
and I'm not. Oh, that's not surprising whatsoever. And like that, because of that, that's a huge issue. Is that like they're trying to be like, we can make him again. This is perfectly fine. They're trying to erase essentially Charlie and his beliefs, even though they said his message will live on forever, right? So because they're making this new guy, but like it's unprecedented that this kid's never gonna actually grow. But what I will say is that it's not even like I guess the point that I was making is like even like his opponents, like Dean Withers, apparently just bawled his eyes out apparently through this whole situation.
You got so many people to unfollow him over that too, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I guess because it's just like a fiery thing, and also because Charlie Kirk did say a lot of hateful rhetoric in in the eyes of these people, and which I understand because like I've seen some of the stuff, and I don't agree with a lot of the things that he said. But I would never fucking cry over this shit. Fuck no, I'm not gonna cry over
Yeah.
somebody that
I
dies
find it like I'm
unless it's
not
my
gonna like
family.
debate you too hard on it, but I find it great. Like I understand some people like because I've heard that before you just said it, where they say like Charlie Kirk would say hateful rhetoric. But it's like when I hear that, it's like I almost like kind of like laugh like a teeny bit in my head just for the sole fact that like when I compare my positions to Charlie Kirk, I view Charlie Kirk as a moderate. Like I don't think like I'm way more extreme than him, but like at least on some of my positions, specifically on foreign aid and foreign wars and immigration, I'm way more extreme than Charlie on like some things. So
Sure.
it's like that was like a because you're not the first person I've heard that from. So it's like it was surprising to me like hearing that from people because like I'd never even like thought that. Like I would sometimes say things on my show and I'd be like, oh, did I go like a little too far? But then I would compare it to like something Charlie said and I'm like, no, I didn't go too far. Like
It's
like this,
it's
like
one of those
it's
things where it's like because one of the things that he said as an example, and one of the things that he said was like specific people used affirmative action as a way to just only affirmative action as a way to get into specific places that would quote take up a white person's position, which he mentioned the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sheila Jackson Lee, Joy Reid, and Michelle Obama. He mentioned these four people. Now, a lot of people take it as, you know, specifically like black women in general, where like I can kind of see like where that specific line is of thinking is coming from. I saw it as you're going after these four women because you're going after affirmative action. But from what I saw and from what I was reading upon it, is that they were supporting the idea that affirmative action just gives opportunities for people that don't have the financial stability to go to places like Harvard and Princeton, but they have the education and the intellectual prowess to get to that point. Because even though affirmative action does get you into that building, affirmative action does not help you achieve the the positions that you gain. So like Ketanji Brown Jackson, for example, was a governing body of Harvard when she was there working at the time and learning at the time. She was able to basically talk about like how the court decisions or whatever that they did about affirmative action was like not okay for North Carolina, but she couldn't talk about it with Harvard. But she talks about her time and being like, this is something that we should have for people that don't have those opportunities. And I think Michelle and Barack Obama even said like, yeah, we have used this before, but it's not. You still have to work hard and still have to gain it, keep an education in order to still achieve success. This just helps people get into the door that don't have the money for it, and that's what
I
I
do think
understand.
there is I do think there is some the pushback I would give is I do think there are a lot of instances where it is abused,
Yeah.
specifically DEI and I'm drawing a blank right
Mhm.
now. Affirmative action. I do think there are instances where they do definitely get abused. I could kind of see your perspective on those things. But in general, I mean, my perspective aligns pretty right with those things. And like, I think everything should be merit based for the most part. I'm a big believer in like blind hiring and all that, of like, don't even put your race on your.
Yeah.
I always tell white people, I say, when you're applying for a job, press or do prefer not to answer. You have a better chance if you're white getting a job if you do that,
Yeah.
just because of the huge rise in DEI we saw. I guess Trump kind of scaled it back, but before that, over the last few years. So I do think there are a lot of instances where it's abused. I thought you were gonna pull out a different example when you started with the
Well, I
when
don't.
you started what you were saying,
Well,
but
because with
no, I do think it's
because with that
just
one
a
you can
I don't
easily
or
like.
finish what you're
Oh, sorry.
saying.
Because with that one you could definitely like see that Yes, because even Michelle Obama said it. Like, she's like, yes, there are flaws within the system of affirmative action. There's going to be flaws with a lot of different things that come in when it comes to like governmental embodiments and trying to get an understanding is like how to set up the system correctly. It's the same thing with the IRS. It's the same thing with police forces. It's the same thing with the FBI. It's the same thing with all these different organizations, right? But affirmative actions uh, uh, thought process is just to an extent because you're not thinking about putting all of these people into Harvard and saying you're going to get A's. You're giving some of these people opportunities to go into Harvard, but they still have to work hard. Even like if I have a Hispanic man who is a summa cum laude in bumfuck Florida, in somewhere in the Everglades, right? But he can't go to Harvard because he doesn't have the money for it. Well, affirmative action can give him that opportunity to be like, you are a 4.5 student. And even though you don't have the money for it, we're going to try and help you get scholarships. We're going to help you get these opportunities. And this is how it's going to help you get to Harvard. And this is going to give you the chance to continue your education. It's it's less of it's less of get all minorities in and more of get the correct people in those opportunities that don't have the money for it. And
I think
that's what
how
I
I
see it.
look at it though is like that's the theory versus the practice is different
Yeah,
though.
it's hard.
I think
Yeah.
like in theory you're correct of like that is what was originally intended.
Right.
I think that's correct, but I don't think it was practiced that way. I think when it was practiced, and not every place, but there were places that were like there are studies that showed that like over I forget exactly what year. I want to say it's 2020 to 2021. I could be wrong, but there's studies to show that it's like 90% of hiring in most of the S&P 500 companies were all
Yeah.
minorities, which is again, if it was merit based, not a problem. Like I said, if the best people to work, whatever job are black people, if they're Mexican, if they're any form of Hispanic, Asian, white people, as long as they're the best people to work the job or the best people to be in that school, that's how I would do it. And when it comes to like the financial side of things that you were saying with college, how I would say it is like, I feel like most of these policies, we like DEI, stuff like that, we should be kind of getting rid of. But the schools, especially the more successful ones like Harvard, this like Harvard has a budget of like they have billions in their bank
Yeah.
account. Harvard could afford to throw some scholarships around with their own money without having to subsidize that from the state or from the federal government for DEI practice. Like I think if you want to institute those things, you can, but you should have to pay for it yourself at the very least. And like you also have to come with the idea of like if you do those things, you might discredit yourselves if other people aren't. Like with DEI, it's like if everyone's doing it, it kind of makes a little more like it kind of makes it a little more acceptable versus if you only have a few schools really practicing DEI, they're almost going to lose a little bit of credibility among half the country at the very least. And that's a pretty big hit. If you lose like all the support from conservatives, even if you're a more liberal university, it's still going to be a major hit on your university, not only financially, but like in your
Yeah,
reputation.
and that's something that
So I
can.
do think there needs to be like some change. I do agree. It's a weird delicate topic though, where it's like you don't want to like overcorrect, but I feel like there does need to be a little bit of correction
Right,
because
and that's
in
the
theory and in practice it works different
yeah, and
ways.
that's the beauty of like, and that's the beauty of our system, right? Is that you should be able to kind of like, okay, so we set, let's say for example, we set affirmative action to like the 100%, and it feels like it's too much. Well, then we can work with like our constituents and say, okay, let's bring it actually back down to like 70% or sorry, 60%. It doesn't feel like it's enough, and then we start to fine tune the specific things. It's the same thing with like when they made the car, right? They made the car, and then they're starting to drive. Oh my God, we got into an accident and I cracked my head on the windshield. Okay, we're going to need seatbelts. There's something to protect us. Okay, seatbelts work. Now I'm cracking my chest into the steering wheel and I've
I
got
think we didn't
broken
have
wrist.
seatbelts for like 30 years after that.
Right. But what
I get what you're saying,
but you know what I'm
but
saying. So like the thing I'm saying is that like we try to fine tune as much as we possibly can, but we need to have the base first. And if we have the base
I
at that
agree.
point,
It's a working
right.
process. It's
It's the same
like
thing with
it'd be
DEI.
absurd to expect everyone to get things right on the first or second
Yeah,
time.
because
I mean, that's a crazy. It's just as crazy to think that as it is like any of the other stuff. So it's
yeah,
like to assume for like them to get it correct in the when they're originally putting DEI and all these things out there, it's crazy to think that they were going to get it like we're talking about the federal government here. I mean, how often do they actually get shit right?
Yeah.
Rarely. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's not a surprise that like these things, especially in the system we have where it's like as much as everything's driven by politics, like even education and all these things, what is politics driven by? It's driven by money and donors.
Right.
So it's like you really have to fix that problem before you can fix the other problems. If you can fix the problem of lobbying and corrupt NGOs, bureaucrats, and waste, fraud, and abuse, you could really correct a lot of those issues a lot easier because you have less. It's way easier to make a decision with 2 people in your ear than it is with 50.
You really like I'm telling you, James, you're so close. You see the door and you're right
I'm
there
on the
with
way
me.
opposite side.
You're right there with me. But you see the door though.
Again, this is the horseshoe theory. This is
le-
where the all right and the left align. It's just
right, just because you're over here doesn't mean that you don't see the door. You see the door because like I agree. We need to get money out of politics.
Well, here's where I get concede to you on stuff with that. I was actually talking. So I have a friend who's he's a GOP guy. He's I'm never gonna leave Trump, and I respect everyone's views, so I respect it. But I was debating him on it, and I was kind of explaining to him like my positions on why I don't align with. Or wait, I'm fixing this real quick. My AirPod is.
Yep, go ahead.
Got something in there. But yeah, I was kind of explaining to him why like my views don't fully align with Donald Trump's anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of explaining to him like if what I try to push, which is I call it true American nationalism, if what I was trying to push actually happened, you could actually concede on a lot of liberal values within our society. It would just need to be financially possible. And it's like we'll probably agree on a lot of the same things but disagree on the methods to get there. But like I could concede on like healthcare for all Americans.
Yeah.
I would just need it to be financially viable. And for that to happen, I would want to stop allowing legal and illegal immigrants to provide more money and better jobs for Americans while at the same time stopping all foreign aid and limiting our trades to only countries where it's like I would want to make like an insane amount of changes and like also an insane amount of I'd want to get some of the debt down. But it's like if you could make a lot of these changes to restore value back to the dollar, and if you restore a lot of value back to the US dollar, then you can bring the debt down a lot easier.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, and if we can be a profitable nation, I mean, we could do things like free healthcare. We could do things that are more liberal values like that.
Yeah.
But it's something where it's like we'll probably agree on like we both kind of want that, but it's like how do we get that?
Yeah.
Like you could even say like the mass student loan forgiveness. Like I kind of view that as a positive in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with like I think they should have done it instead of PPP loans. The fact that they forgave those was crazy to me. But after they did that and like after we saw they raised the debt ceiling another $5 trillion, it's like do we really have the money to bail out college kids? We don't have it in our budget.
Keeps raising
but
the
we need
ceiling.
to create a system where we have it in our budget.
Yeah, like I would even push like maybe I don't know if this is extreme. I don't think it's extreme, but like in order for you to print money, you need to get approval by the House and the Senate. Like if they're the keepers of the purse, in order for you to even get approval, I don't know if I have to look at it. Maybe they're already doing that.
I think they do, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
I should know that, but I don't.
I'll double check. But like it should be.
I would say that. It's beyond just like printing more dollars. We need to.
It's also things like
we need to
like the tax code's whacked. It's also like how we're spending our
property
money.
Tax is a scam.
Like
Social Security is a scam. That's the thing I really don't like. I want to get rid of Social Security.
Well, I mean,
and a lot of people don't agree with me. There.
I don't, but I understand why you're saying it.
Can I give you my quick argument on it?
Yeah, go for it.
You're paying it and I'm paying it, but we'll never get it. We're paying someone else's, but we'll never receive it because it will run out.
But it's the fault of the government using things like Social Security for their whatever their spending is, and that's the problem. Is that because they're using specific things that they should not be touching whatsoever, and
I'm not saying people shouldn't get it in perpetuity.
Yeah.
My only point is I think they should stop it right now. I think we should look at it very objectively in the sense of who created the mess for this nation. Realistically, boomers and older generations, the generations who are right now cashing our Social Security checks. Yeah. And I get they paid into it. There is some legitimacy to that argument, and you gotta make that back whole.
Right.
But at the same time forcing young people to pay into it now when they'll never get it. At the very least, what they should do is stop young people from. You should take the cutoff point of like, hey, we're gonna run out of Social Security money in this year, and say if you fall under this year, you just don't have to fucking pay it anymore. I guess the problem there is then it would run out a little bit sooner,
Yeah.
and you gotta. I'm sure there's some algorithm they could create to figure out that timeline, but
With that kind of
I hate the idea that I pay it and I'll never get
right,
it.
it's hard to cut something cold turkey like that. Like it seems like if you make it too
Yeah.
steep, it will destroy people's lives and potentially crash the economy. But if you do it,
That's the
you know
thing,
what I
yeah.
mean?
I
Like
don't want to like hurt old people per se. I
right,
don't want them to be like shaken. I don't want old people to go off to get jobs at fucking Dollar Tree to like supplement their income now.
right.
I just want I just want some form of I don't expect fairness. Again, like I don't expect life to be fair. I don't expect the country to be fair. That's not I don't think life is supposed to be
Would
fair. But
you
I do
would you agree with like a temporary great compression? Would you like a temporary like maybe like 10 year, 15-year great compression? Do you know what that is?
no, what is it?
So the Great Compression was something that they actually did in, I believe it was the 40s. It was after World War II. They were financially in the fucking shit. They were in the fucking heaps of shit. So what they did was they set up a something in the tax code where it was like a specific dollar amount after you, let's say like $100,000 in their time,
Yeah.
if passive income after your 101th that dollar gets taxed at a higher percentage than it would normally get taxed.
No.
I see. I know, but that's where I come from. I come from the idea like because you
It
can.
would just stop growth.
I can see
That's
what I can
why.
see what you're saying.
And I don't.
I wouldn't say a hundred
I'm not
thousand.
like a shill for big corporations either, but we
I
do need
I just wouldn't say a hundred
innovation at a
thousand dollars
point.
though. I would do it like at a higher amount. So like because you have to
No, I
continue
get
to.
it. Like you'd probably frame it closer to like a billion or something, but
Mm,
still, I would still even.
it's hard because it's like the issue is that like from what the tax code is right now, there's a lot of underlying loopholes that are unfortunately being
Yeah,
over abused. Even the president said in his
I
first
think
one,
they should close the loopholes.
right?
My tax system that I propose, a lot of people don't agree with it, but I propose, and it's actually the same thing Charlie Kirk said: 10% flat tax for everybody with no write-offs at all.
Which
And
technically
it
could.
kind of affects the lower income people a little bit more for
Mhm.
sure. But my goal with that is like if Elon's paying 10% taxes with no write-offs, if Bezos is paying 10% with no write-off, like Tesla and Amazon, I guess, because their salaries are like a dollar. But if their companies are paying the 10% with no write-offs, it will provide enough money to the country that like over time we can kind of get to that place that I'm talking about where value is restored to the dollar and we can actually have a concede on some of these
And that's the
values.
thing, right? Is that like that's a lesser version of the compression of what I'm talking about because like you could set it up to that where it's just like they just pay 10% flat and they don't like if you make a business that's worth like let's say you make a $500 million worth business, right? Your passive income, you're just going to start doing flat and you don't get write-offs. Like that could be something that
But
could be
also
applied.
my society I propose doesn't have like people have the ability to get that rich, but not really on the individual like kinda, but
Are you for
in the
Citizens?
society that I
Are
pitch,
you for Citizens United?
it's like no, it's more like so the way I phrase it is how am I drawing a blank right now? But
Like you
what
you
were we
would
saying one
like you
second
would
ago?
you
I'm
would
drawing a
you would
blank.
cap their wealth basically if it gets to the nth
No, it's
degree.
not that. It's just the fact that I remembered what I was saying. It's if you look at like Amazon's labor force, and I know we're going to disagree on this, but if you look at Amazon's labor force, if you look at Tesla's labor force, if you look at the people who like they're paying, like Donald Trump is a good example. He's the most anti-immigration president, everyone would say. But realistically, Donald Trump brings in a ton of legal immigrants. Just not like he's very good about illegal immigration to stopping that, but he brings in a ton of legal immigrants under certain visas for primarily companies like Amazon and Tesla. And it's one of the reasons these companies are able to get so wealthy is because they're not paying American wages. They're not paying true American wages. Like most of the jobs that should be paying 80K are paying 40K, and they're paying 40K because the people will accept it because they have no other option because they're in this country for that job. And that's kind of the thing. It's like if you could get rid of the immigration labor, the legal immigration labor along with the illegal immigration labor, It's not that they won't be able to get rich, these CEOs, and you won't see billionaires. It's just you won't see as many and you won't see them rise as fast because they're not exploiting, the bottom half of the labor pool for way less dollars.
I can understand where you're coming from. I think what I would want to do is probably stop the monopolization of these companies. I think that's an issue too.
That as well.
That
We're
is
together on
so
that.
fucking crazy.
A lot of big
Lots
monopolies.
of big
I mean, you want to hear
Disney,
something crazy?
Amazon.
Israel just bought their eighth VPN company.
Right.
They own pretty much all the major VPN companies.
Right. Like that's a problem. You should not be able to have a monopoly so powerful. Like if you look at what Disney owns specifically, the amount of things that they own, it's monopoly. That's not a
Yeah.
that's not a hyperbole either.
They also don't pay tax.
Like exactly.
They're their own
exactly
thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So because they don't pay taxes on the monopoly that they've been able to create, they're able to gain more revenue into their system and able to still raise the prices on our fucking tickets to go to the parks. Like they're able to take as much money as from your pocket as much as you possibly can, and because you don't have an ability to stop that, because of their monopoly, they're going to continue to do so. And one of the things that I have an issue with is monopolies, but I also have an issue with the money that they take and throw it into pockets of the of members of the right, the left, the center, any politician. Like money needs to be removed, and that's an extreme thing that you need to get extreme people in to these positions of power to get that done. Because you will not get it done with this administration, the last administration, the administration before that, and potentially other future administrations until you get people with not necessarily extreme views, but way more of an intensive view that they have now. As long as they agree that money needs to get out of politics. Period. Bar none.
Until our generation's in politics, it won't happen.
Exactly.
And it's crazy to think about, but it's like we live in such a. I say this all the time, and I get shit on my shows for saying it, but I don't care. People who are older, and it's not to like write them off completely. They're smart in their own ways, but they're way dumber than us. And it's not saying that like every Gen Z or Gen Alpha kid is a fucking genius. It's just to say that, like, if you know how to use the internet at a good level, if you know how to mass market on social media, if you know how to work your phone without your grandson fucking helping you, you're automatic, like, you're smarter than everyone else who does, like, we live in a technological society, and other generations don't understand things like an example I give all the time is like, a 12-year-old gets more information in a 10-minute span scrolling through TikTok than a boomer gets in 1 month watching CNN or Fox News. And like it's almost undisputable. They retain more information and they learn more information.
They're fast thinkers on these phones and iPads, man.
Yeah.
They're fucking quick.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely like there's a lot of downsides to the rise in technology with social things, like as much as we're more social online, we're less social in person. I think that's kind of a problem. But at the same time, I do think it's created a whole new level of intelligence that just didn't exist before, where it's like if you can mass market on social media, you are instantly smarter than everyone who does not know how to, because real power in a nation is not, I mean, real power is money, but beyond money, real power to me is being able to mobilize young men. If you can mobilize, because like I was saying, young men are the people who can make and break a nation when it comes to war. Like if a civil war is fought, it's going to be men.
I see what you're saying.
For the most part.
I see what you're saying.
Young men. So it's like, if you have the ability to have a voice strong enough to mobilize millions of young men, you're more powerful than the president at a point. Like you are more powerful than almost anything. People who have that ability have the ultimate power. Like they could, like he never would, I don't think, but Nick Fuentes, realistically, or like Charlie Kirk when he was alive, could have started the Civil War tomorrow, the next day, with one tweet, with one video, with one like, hey everyone, it's fucking time, it's go time, let's fucking roll. With one video, Charlie Kirk could have had 10 million, Gen Z young males standing in DC at the front gates. And it takes a lot of responsibility to like not do things like that. But I think that's the definition of what true power really is like what's your ability to mobilize young men around the country? And when you have that, I think you hold more cards than almost anyone else in the long run. Maybe not in the short term, but in the long term.
For sure, because like I can understand that, because it's like one of those things where it's like the people when they have their leader, the people will rise with that leader. So if you look at someone
Yeah.
like Martin Luther King, right? From what I remember reading, it took it was like a 200 or some crazy amount of miles. How long did he march? MLK.
MLK had some. Did you read the MLK
I
files?
haven't read it. No. The
Some
march.
fucked up stuff. I will say, like, I'm not gonna discredit things he did outside of the stuff I'm gonna say here, but like there allegedly in the MLK files, he sat in a room with one of his buddies watching a woman get raped, and he was laughing as they were doing it.
Oh, I- I'm gonna I'm gonna respectfully disagree for the moment because I've not read the files. I thought that
No, yeah,
that was bullshit.
that's one of the things I read in there. I
Yeah,
mean, it's CIA FBI notes, so it could be false as
that's
well.
the
The
thing,
only thing I
right?
do not like,
I
there are
wouldn't.
things that are like he did cheat a lot and he did have a tendency to beat his wife a bit,
I do remember his
but that doesn't mean he
promiscuity.
was doing those things.
Yeah,
But
I do
yeah,
remember his promiscuity. But I will say, like, how can you believe anything that they put out? Even oh God, even like JFK, how can you believe that when
yeah,
they fucked up on so many things? They've been showing nothing but, especially with this Charlie Kirk stuff, nothing but fuck up after fuck up after fuck up. He took the guns
yeah,
apart, put it back together, then threw it into the forest. He actually kept it the whole thing and put it in his pants leg. He got he thinks this way because of his roommate. Oh, the roommates, they're actually partners, or the family turned him in, or the partner turned him in, or his friends on Discord turned him in. It's like, or he turned himself in. It's like, you guys are messing this up so badly, and you guys are letting them fucking dog walk the shit out of you on just this case. And more importantly, the Epstein files. Why did you just put out a phase one, say that you had it on your desk, and then not release it whatsoever? Because Trump is saying, are we really talking about it now? Do we really care? Well, how can I
Well, did you hear Trump said he was an informant in the Epstein
I
case,
don't believe.
and that's why he wasn't talking about it. No, yeah,
Well,
I don't believe it either, but it's just like what the fuck.
like so I don't know if it is the investigation on Epstein. I think ended it ended this year. I think it was like July 7th. I think it was. But like, you could still have released the files no matter what, because that's something that was not part of the investigation. But he was trying to release.
I don't think they could have for the sole reason that I don't think they exist.
I don't think they
And
exist
it's not
either.
me defending the Trump administration. I
I
think
think he
the
weaponized.
overwhelming evidence shows that it was Israel who financed
Yeah,
Epstein. And if that's true, if it was Mossad, then I just don't see like how America would even have like maybe people like specific people in the CIA would have access to it, but it's like I don't think the files ever even existed in
I
America.
think he weaponized it against the people to get his votes. That's what I think. I agree with you. I don't think the files exist.
Definitely played it up
He
for
he
sure, yeah.
played it up because he knew, well, not necessarily just him, but his entire administration and the people that he wanted to get into the administration. Every single one of them completely were hyping it up because they wanted to get those votes, because they knew that the American people on the right wanted these files out. JFK, MLK, even 9/11 files. They wanted all these files out. But
Did
instead,
you watch Tucker Carlson's 9/11
I haven't
thing?
watched it yet. I'm a Oh shit, I haven't shown you. Oh, hold on. I'm letting
I'm here.
the desk fucking rise, okay? So, context. I'm an avid 9/11 researcher. Like, not conspiracy theorist, researcher. So,
I'm a 9/11 conspiracy
you're gonna
theorist.
see right there, even though the light is kind of blocking it. Oh fuck, you can't see it. Shit. Okay, hold on a second.
There's a little glare.
Hold on a
There's a
second.
little glare on it.
Look at that shit. Look at that. That's
I can't
September 12th.
read it. Oh yeah, okay.
That's
Oh
I
shit.
so I found it on Etsy, and I said, I need this in my house. And I said, I'm keeping this forever. But like, I fell down like the scientific rabbit hole of like learning about how the buildings fell and all this other stuff. Then I started reading the FBI data and being like, oh, you guys knew that they were there, but you couldn't do anything because they didn't have any proof or actual understanding. Like, you couldn't prove that they were going to do these things. But then you start to read that we were training them in the Taliban, we were training these people during Reagan, and like,
Who do you think did 9/11?
who do I think did 9/11?
Yeah.
definitely Al Qaeda, but
Do you think it was Osama?
I think it was Al Qaeda that was funded by the Saudis. Because you see,
Do you think the United States or Israel was involved?
I definitely think that the United States had an unfortunate involvement because we trained them in uh during that time frame because we were fighting them we were fighting Russia with the Taliban when they were in Afghanistan. We fought them during that time. So we trained Al Qaeda and we trained the Taliban to become what they were. And then when we started being buddy buddy with the Saudis, Al Qaeda got fucking pissed about it because Al Qaeda was being funded by the Saudis as well. So it was this whole like money issue. And so when we got attacked, you can see like the numbers going through from Afghanistan and from Saudi Arabia and like the people that we are buddy buddy with. But I could, oh God, I don't know about Israel. I haven't read that. I don't know about if they did it,
I'll
but
give you two things to look up, why I think Israel is pretty involved.
okay, give me.
One would be the Israeli art students. Uh, if you just Google Israeli art students 9/11, you should find some stuff. But I could send you some direct articles too. But they entered the 9/11. They entered the Twin Towers with big. I mean, like moving massive amounts of equipment very secretly. They were all under the guide. They weren't actual art students. They just claimed to be art students, and they were generally Mossad representatives.
Uh-huh.
And then there's also another thing where directly following the attacks, they all tried to enter a lot of, thousands of these art students tried to enter government buildings. And then a couple other things would be the dancing Israelis. There was 5 men from Israel dancing, celebrating the attack and filming the towers falling. And when they were lie detect, what's the word for a lie detector test? When they were put under a lie detector test, they failed it, and two of them were known to be Mossad, 2 of the 5, and their exact quote was, "We knew the attack was going to happen. We were here to document it." So it was kind of clear from that they kind of knew something. Another big thing would be Larry Silverstein. I'm sure you know who he is. He was the owner of the
I
buildings.
did hear that, yeah.
Larry Silverstein bought terrorist insurance on the buildings just a couple months prior to the 9/11 attacks, and he'd never missed a single day of work until 9/11.
I'll have to look into that for sure.
It's some interesting stuff.
It is
I know I probably won't convince you right here, right now,
well,
but if you're that into 9/11, I urge you to look into specifically the art students and the dancing Israelis. But then the Silverstein aspect, kind of, he's a outspoken Zionist, donor to Israel as well.
well, I would
very connected.
I can see where like where that kind of like falls in, like I can see where that like becomes like
and
an issue for sure.
do you know the guy who stands behind Trump all the time, the bald guy, Howard Lutnick?
Oh, shit, I have to maybe
He's in Trump's cabinet.
so.
He's the Secretary of Commerce or something.
Howard Lutnick.
Howard Lutnick.
Oh, he comes up with 9/11 as well.
Yeah, because he owned Cantor Fitzgerald. And if you know about 9/11, Cantor Fitzgerald was the company that the plane flew right into.
Yeah. I'll have to look
and
into
he
that.
missed work that
But
day
you
as
don't
well.
think
But
you don't think that you don't think that Tower 7 collapsed on its like it was a controlled demolition. You don't believe that, right? Because I'll tell you why.
I think that the entire thing, I think all the buildings were lined with bombs, including the Pentagon.
James.
Like, I think I do. The Pentagon is one of the craziest ones.
The Pentagon one
they
is
didn't
a
release
wild
the
one to
footage for like
watch.
6 years.
I went into the
here's
the
a
memorial.
crazy Pentagon.
I went into the museum of 9/11, and like they have like you see all of the videos.
The 9/11 memorial's insane. I mean, I've seen, like, my dad worked in the towers before. My dad had an interview there that day and didn't go. My dad was supposed to be in the towers that day on 9/11.
Thank God that your dad wasn't there. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
But
I remember I said that once on stream, and people were like, "You're Mossad," and I'm like, "No,
dude,
I'm Catholic."
See, like it just gets to that point where it's like, oh my God, my dad, my what, a firefighter's part of Mossad now? Like that's what's so crazy about these theories. That's why I'm like, I'll look into it, but like I'm going in with like a very level head because like I can see.
Here's why I think the Pentagon thing is really weird.
Okay.
Do you know who Donald Rumsfeld was?
I do know Rumsfeld. Yeah, I know. Rumsfeld.
So Rumsfeld was obviously very, very corrupt. He was the weapons of mass destructions guy.
Yep.
But Rumsfeld, a couple days before, it was either the day before or a couple days before 9/11, did a press conference and said that $2 trillion was missing. And then he said something weirdly cryptic. He said, "There's things we know, there's things we don't know, we know, and then there are things we don't know, and we'll never know those things." And it was like a very cryptic, weird thing to say. It's a weird clip to watch.
Yeah.
But then right after he says the Pentagon can't track $2 trillion, the plane allegedly hits the part of the Pentagon that could track that 2 trillion.
Which I could see, and that's the problem, right? Is that like if something gets hit where it almost perfectly aligns with like a sheer coincidence, it can be perceived as a non-coincidence. So what I mean by that is like this who's Howard, not Howard Lutnick, Silverstein, right? Like I can see like the Silverstein thing being a conspiracy theory. For me, I think it's for me, it doesn't answer the question of like why would he go and rebuild the Trade Center? Why would he go back and rebuild it and fix it up to become better than what it was previously? Like that's the thing that I'm like, about, you know? So when I
He got government contracts at it.
oh for
Like
sure, like the
Howard
government definitely
Lutnick
wanted it, yeah.
and Silverstein both became billionaires. Like they were already very
Yeah.
wealthy, but they became billionaires off
Oh yeah,
that.
the insurance
Nine
probably fucking
eleven made
climbed.
multiple people
They
billionaires.
should. I will tell you this right now, and this is just coming from me because when you go in, so you go into the museum, you go down to the first floor. It takes you through the first portion of it. You hear all of
The
the
Pentagon one?
no, the 9/11 one. So like you've got the memorial pieces.
Oh, I've seen the New York one. I've been there like five
Oh, you've been to the
times.
museum already? Like in the museum?
Uh oh, I haven't been in the museum. I've been to the memorial
Okay,
sites.
when you
And
go
I've been through the little walkway.
Okay, when you go back to the memorial, go into the museum because you'll see like the pylons that they had that were set up. You'll see pieces that they still have like remnants from the building itself. You'll see a whole section though where it talks about the firefighters, the first responders, everybody that went in that came back out that suffered from all of the pile uh uh issues. And
So terrible.
horrendous, and the amount of medication that they had to take and the amount of doctor visits that they took and the amount of revenue that they weren't being funded to their cause. And to me personally, this is where I become a little extreme. People like Lutnick, people like Silverstein that had these buildings that got tax write-offs because of the insurance. All of that money should have been taken by the government and used for the people that saved the lives of the people that were in the buildings and the people that suffered from all of the dust, all of the pile, all of the metal, all of the debris and the poison that was going to affect them from this point forward. People are still suffering from it
Have you ever watched
today.
the movie Worth?
Yeah.
It's a crazy movie where they try and determine the worth of all the people who died on 9/11,
Yeah.
all the for their families. It's a crazy movie how that it's crazy when you see that process. Like you don't think about that process a lot when you see these tragic
Yeah.
events. Like you understand that like the family's going to get some form of a payout whether it's from the company, the insurance or the government. But you don't like think about like they're determining the worth off of your mortgage, what you made, and like all these weird other things that like is that really what we all boil down to? Is like am I is my family's future worth what my net worth was currently when I die? Like it's a weird concept to think about.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is that like for me, like it's such a unfortunate thing that happened to our country that the government should have, and this is where, like I said, I'm being a little bit more extreme. Like they should have really stepped in and said, the money that you got from the buildings that were attacked, it is going to be used for these firefighters. It's going to be used for the first responders. It's going to be used for the citizens that are suffered under your building. Then we can reimburse you afterwards. But right now, the people matter more. And that would have been um that probably would have even destroyed like the conspiracy theories that we have now where they've made billions of dollars from this thing and now they're even more wealthy because of the insurance. You know what I mean? Like that would have
Well,
probably got
another
rid
big
of it.
reason I just thought of it too, but why they rebuilt the buildings up.
Yeah.
Another big conspiracy on why they wanted to bring them down in the first place is there's rumors that, and this isn't a crazy rumor either because I mean, I lived up in that area, so I know how buildings in New York and all that were. They said that the building was lined and filled with asbestos, and they were eventually, because of the change in the laws with asbestos or in the 90s, that they were going to have to like basically take the buildings down and rebuild them
Yeah.
from scratch. And what's a better way to, like, why pay to rebuild the buildings when you can have the government do it and you can essentially collect billions of dollars and get, billions in government contracts on it. So that's
Right.
another like conspiracy angle. I'm going to send you the Tucker Carlson
Yeah,
thing.
send it to me. I want to look it
I
up.
don't agree with Tucker on a lot too, but it is a very it's like a bipartisan, like it's not political in the sense of like right and left, this documentary. It's really just straightforward of like, I'm investigating 9/11, I'm interviewing this person from the CIA, I'm interviewing this FBI agent, I'm interviewing mayor of, like it's a lot of interviews and a lot of like non-biased political stuff. So it's
I
like
do
non-biased from like a Republican Democrat
I do
standpoint at
support his
least.
push though on people like Ted Cruz though. I do support him, like, you're being paid a lot of money by these people. Why are you being paid by these people?
Grilling on APEC, I love that. Do
Really
you follow
grilling it.
APEC Tracker?
I don't. But
Follow APEC Tracker on
if
TikTok.
I
Fun
ever, and
account.
I'm going to say this to the people now, if I ever get myself into government, I will never, ever take money from APAC. It will never fucking happen. They can
Cheers to
suck my
that.
dick. I'm serious, because I'm never
Yeah.
going to support a country that doesn't support me. And I don't believe that
Yeah.
they support us. I really don't. We spend way too much money for them. We spend way too much of our time in our military on them too. I'm not doing it anymore. I don't care who they are, because the government itself is using their military might against people that that don't deserve that kind of pain. They deserve their lives, they deserve their futures, they deserve their homes, they deserve to have their country back. That's just me. That's just me. But I don't support Israel whatsoever uh in this
The
regard.
history of the Middle East with Israel is pretty cool. Do you watch Ian Carroll?
Not really, no. I haven't seen Ian Carroll in
I'm gonna send you an Ian Carroll
okay.
video. It's again, it's like a non-biased when it comes to
Oh
Republican
yes, I've
Democrats.
seen her stuff.
The terror in the Middle
She did.
East.
Oh, she did a really
He,
good piece on it.
no, he's a guy.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no, I'm thinking somebody else. I'm thinking about somebody else. Let me, because it was someone from the National Geographic that did this really good piece. On.
No, I'll text you. It's
Okay.
called Terror in the Middle East. It's called Creating Israel, Terror in the Middle East. It's a 1 hour and 20 minute thing.
Okay.
A little bit long, but it's the production value is unreal. I mean, you're glued to it the entire time. It's very non-biased when it comes to Republicans and Democrats. It dives into how Israel was created, how it was supported, and how it lasted to this point. And like it talks about the terror angle, the mafia angle. It he does such a good job about it. I'll send you it. You'll enjoy
What
it.
is this person?
It's a really good one. But yeah, I think beyond like here's where I'm gonna say something. I don't know if you're gonna agree with me or not. If you want to debate it, we can. If not, we don't have to,
Okay.
because I know it's an edgier thing.
Okay.
As much as I think the Israel lobby is a huge problem, and they are, I think another big problem is something I like to call, and a lot of people on the alt-right call, organized Jewry, which is, it's not that Jewish people are a problem, it's that when dual citizens in the government who are citizens of Israel organize to essentially work against America to put pro-Israel amendments over pro-America amendments, it's a very negative thing in the nation, and it almost pushes. I mean, I have the beliefs, but it almost pushes normal American, like people who don't even have as extreme beliefs as me, to be like no dual citizenship in government. And I'm curious where you stand on stuff like that.
I will never support a country that tries to take over the United States through their like constitutional means or whatever the fuck. Like I will never support it. I will never support a country that wants to put their money and their livelihood over ours. In that kind of format, I don't believe it. Our country's constitution is strong and just for specific reasons, and for a group like any group whatsoever to try and use that against the United States, I think is abhorrent to say the least. Um, Now, when it comes to like specifically like Jews, I don't really have understanding of that.
I don't think it's all Jews. I
Right.
don't want to like conflate it. Like my best friend's Jewish. I have a ton of Jewish people in my
Yeah.
family, on my extended
You're
family.
talking more of like
I don't think like
Israel
I think it's
specifically,
when they organize like no,
or like
it's
APAC.
more like this. It's like think about it like this. Like the mafia, the way they worked is they worked really tribally. Like the Italians would help Italians out, and
Okay.
it became a big problem because they were essentially working against America to create their own little kind of economy that boosted what they were trying to do.
Okay.
And it's kind of what a little bit, not all Jewish Americans, but what some Jewish Americans do is they have this like Jewish people, not all again, but some, like the Jewish person in my instance I'm talking about, like they'll only go to a Jewish banker and they'll only go to a Jewish this and a
Okay.
Jewish that. And they'll like if you're only supporting things in that way, like if white people helped white people out or black people helped black people out or any race or anyone, if any group helped any group out in the way that Jews help Jews out in America when it comes to uh they're overrepresented in government and media and things like that, relative to their population size.
Right.
I think it would be shut down. Like I think specifically for white, like if white people were helping white people out in 2025, the same way that like they're doing it in America with the way I described with organized Jewry, I think it would get shut down pretty quick by the government and be called like a racist faction of the country. And it's like
Uh,
it's crazy to me that like it's not viewed as the same, that it's like these people, they're not even like affiliating with America. They're just creating their own little Jewish
I
society,
see what you're
their own
saying.
little Israeli society within America, and they're expecting us all to just
So
accept it. And
like
it's like
a
that's not really how America
like a
works to me.
Chinatown, but instead of making it like just like a city in New York, they're trying to take over New
It's a network
York.
of people.
Right. Okay, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying
instead of it
now.
being a town, like I'm not thinking of a specific geological location.
Right.
I'm think although there are places like that specifically in New York, but I'm mainly saying like a network of people who work together and they act like they don't, but they work together closely. Like for example, when you take like overrepresentation of like groups within certain positions, like Hollywood or banking, things like that. It's like you gotta ask the like a question that I ask a lot is like how are they 2% of the population, but they're I don't know the exact percentage,
But
but they're
they're like
extremely high percentage of media, of people in
I
government,
see what
of people
okay.
in bank, like the most important institutions in
Like
academia.
how is their
And it's
influence getting
like
so high out there? Like what are
and
they
a
doing?
lot of it
Yeah.
is because like they'll hire each other. They'll give each other, like in a lot of instances, and it's when you're organizing like that to like if I like for the hiring example, if I run I run a few different companies. If I was to like look at applications and see your name and I saw like your last name was, I don't know what's a really Jewish
You
name,
don't have to
something
go.
Stein,
You
something,
have to-
yeah, you get what I'm
I
saying. But like if I saw like and I just immediately was like, no, I'm not gonna hire this person without even looking at anything else.
yeah.
Versus like vice versa, if they look at that and they see that and they give that person a boost in the hiring ratings, like that's kind of where the problem. That's part of a huge
Okay.
part of the problem to me.
Okay, I see what you're
I
saying.
just think it's the way they organize against the rest. And again, it's not all Jews. People love to conflate it as like when you say things like that because there are other like again Muslims do it, Christians do it, white people do it, Italians do it, Mexicans do it. Like everyone does it. It's just at different levels and different periods in
Right.
history. But right now in America, where it seems to be impacting the country the most is like the Israel side of it.
So then would you not yeah. So would you then agree that for that kind of situation that DEI and affirmative action could technically be something that that circumvents that? Would you agree with that maybe? Where it's like
No, I still think that merit is important. Like if it like I mean, for example, Jewish people, one of the reasons they're successful, and a lot of people write this off, like it's not just the organized Jewry that makes them successful. It's also the fact that like Ashkenazi Jews are the highest IQ on average in the world. It goes Ashkenazi Jews, then I think it's Chinese, and then I think it's like certain parts of Europe shortly after that. And it's like you got to factor that in as well. They're very, very smart people. Like again, it's not all of them, but a lot of them are very smart people. So I do think that part of it makes sense. I don't think we should be again, I think there should be regulations around certain things, but I don't think we should be limiting things where it can end up impacting merit. I think the idea of those things are better than how they're practiced.
okay.
Like, I think when you practice those things, you end up with the situations that we ended up dealing with, where it's like you have 95% of the people being hired are not white
Yeah, but
males.
I feel
And
like
it's like, I'm not saying that 95% has to be white males,
yeah,
but it's like if they're the ones who are fit for the job, at least more of them should have been
yeah, but I
hired.
feel like if the practice doesn't work, right? If you practice a football team and the O line is just not O lining whatsoever, you start to run different plays. You start moving people around in those positions. You move the tight end to wide receiver. You take the defensive tackle and put them into center instead. You start to work on your team to see what fits your team the best. That's why, as a great football example, when Dan Campbell came in for the Lions, they were 3-13, then they were 9-8, then they were 15-2, and now they're 3-1 at this point. They're finding the way.
Dan Campbell's
Dude,
beast.
Dan Campbell's a beast. But the point is that like they're finding the way to perfect the system that they have in that group. So I guess in layman's terms, what I'm just trying to say is, even though it's in practice, you should still try to find a way to perfect that practice. Even if affirmative action isn't working correctly or DEIA is not working correctly in the moment, it doesn't mean that it won't become corrected or better or even more, what's the word, more efficient in the future if it takes like another year or 2 years or even 3 years. It's just, I don't think cutting things cold turkey when it's been applied and been implemented like should be the call, you know. So I get.
I see your
Yeah,
perspective.
that's all I'm saying is that like we shouldn't. It's the same thing with the EPA. You should never ever just cut something cold turkey. You have to let it slowly pull back. So like when they talk about like waste, fraud, and abuse, I understand. I totally get it. But you can't just cut your arm off and say I'm better now. If you get like an infection on your arm, you need to fix it first, and if it continues to fester, then you're going to have to do something like that. But you got to test every method first. But
I kind of agree. I kind of disagree. I don't think they have to like test every method. That's where I would probably
yeah.
disagree. Where I do agree though is like your arm analogy is great in the sense of like I do agree there needs to be a process to things. It's not like you could just chop something without any process to it. You do need some form of a weaning process in some ways, at least to make things go smoother,
Yeah.
not only for the economy but for the individual people as
Yeah.
well. But I do think at a point there does needs to be certain corrections specifically around those things. And I think when it comes back to like the Israel thing I was even saying before, it's like I think if you just eliminated the dual citizenship loophole,
Mhm.
like if you took dual citizenship out of America and just said pick one, if doesn't matter if it's like Israel or America or Mexico or America or wherever you're dual citizens with, if you said to every dual citizen in the country, pick one today and then go reside there and that's your country, I think it would solve a lot of the problems because a lot of the organized Jewry that I'm talking about, it's there because they want to support Israel and they need money to support Israel and they need influence in our government to support Israel. And what's the way to get that? Get as many people who support Israel in high up
Yeah.
positions. Because it's not really the politicians who run things, it's the people who pay the politicians. So if you can get enough Jewish lawyers who make a ton of money,
Yeah.
enough Jewish doctors who make a ton of money, and again, you got to go through law school, you got to go through medical school. I'm not saying these people didn't earn these things. I'm just saying a lot of them were sometimes promoted too quickly or they were given opportunities that like my last name's Pascalides. I'm not getting the same opportunities as someone with the last name Steinberg.
Yeah.
Like it's at least from like if I'm going into like the banking field or if I'm going into the medical or legal fields, I'm not going to get the same. And that's where it becomes a problem to me. It's like if I was helping other Italians out, if I was saying like I'm only going to promote the Italians, but I wasn't saying that, I was just doing it, eventually like people would catch up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I think where we're at, where it's like we're at a pivotal point of like social media exists, free speech is now like full blown on X. You can literally tweet out whatever you want, short of I'm going to shoot this
Yeah.
person. And even sometimes you can get away with that. Some people do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Israel's having a tough time kind of hiding it now. Like before they were hiding it that like this was happening in America and this was happening around the world. But now they're having a really tough time hiding the fact that like people are just being promoted because of their last name or their heritage or their ties to Israel or their family affiliate. Like that's where it gets to be like a really shady gray area where it's like, okay, like I don't think any other group could get away with this in the level you are.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. But speaking of residents, my lady just getting back from the grocery store is gonna need my help.
Oh, you're good if you want to sign off here.
If
Let's
that's
do a little.
okay.
It's been a fun time. No, but I'm glad we got to talk. It
Yeah,
was very fun.
yeah,
This was a very good. And any other time you want to come on, I love having you on. You're very fun to talk. Like we give each other a little pushback. I feel like we agree on so much though. It's always a fun conversation. Today's Tuesday. We're filming this. I'm gonna upload this tomorrow, Wednesday, just for my show tomorrow.
yeah, 100%. And honestly, like, I, I know that we have disagreements, but to be quite honest with you, even though we have those disagreements, at the end of the day, as long as we try to figure out like what we agree on, which I think we have agreed on
Yeah.
many things here today, I think that's a good vantage point to start. That's a good way that we can continue to build this bridge and create common ground. I love that we agree on
Yeah,
certain
like I
things.
said, I don't think it's left versus right, and like I think it used to be that way, but
Yeah,
I really think it's just good versus evil.
yeah,
And I honestly think there's a massive group of Gen Z, millennials, and Gen Alpha people who agree with me that it's like the people on the left and the people on the right who see themselves in the good and not the evil
yeah,
can come together on a lot of these things. Like we said, we're not going to agree on everything, but we can at least. I mean, we've sat down for 2 hours, 11 minutes, and had the most civil discussion I've had in a week.
agreed.
So you get you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
totally get what you mean.
I think it's a really positive thing, just like you're saying. But I'm gonna let you go. I don't want to hold your girlfriend up with the groceries. There, you gotta be a good
Gotta
boyfriend.
help her out when I
Don't
can.
want you to
So
sleep in the doghouse
yeah,
tonight.
exactly.
But yeah, have a very fun night. I love the new studio. I'm glad I got to talk to you. Any other time you want to hop on, send me a text anytime. Later, I'm gonna send you that. I'm gonna send you those 2 documentaries I was talking about, the Tucker and the Ian Carroll thing. But
Send it
I'll
all.
send those to you later. I'll let you sign off. It was great talking to you, man.
Good talking to you, man.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, man.
Hell yeah.